Chapter 76. At noon, the sun is shining brightly. Ms. Potts, where is my best brother Tony Stark? I just called him over 20 times and he didn't answer any of them. After driving all the way from Washington, D.C. to the Stark building in New York, Li Chengfeng stopped the car and rushed into the office of the president of Stark Industries on the top floor of the building without hesitation. Definitely, the current president and controlling shareholder of Stark Industries is actually Pepper Potts, and Stark is just a mustache guy who lives off her. Perhaps it was because after being completely rejected by Lois that he finally realized who the person he loved was. His relationship with Pepper has rapidly heated up over the past month. Why are you so sure? Because of the look on little Pepper's face, you can tell at a glance that she is in the passionate love period. Calm down, Agent Li Chengfeng. Tony will be here soon. He has an appointment to have lunch with me, so wait a little while. Little Pepper took Li Chengfeng to sit on the sofa, and sat next to him. You are in such a hurry to find Tony. Is he doing something bad outside again? Why, Miss Potts, he definitely did a very good thing. Oh, this isn't serious, is it? What's so serious? It's a good thing he didn't do it, and I'm not being sarcastic. Li Chengfeng reacted and was suddenly at a loss whether to laugh or cry. What on earth does Tony Stark do every day? Looking at my girlfriend's current state, she has caused a lot of trouble for the family. Don't worry, Miss Potts. Although Tony is a little bit dishonest and has many shortcomings, he is still not capable of doing anything that is against the law. I hope so. Little Pepper stretched out her hand and shook hands with Li Chengfeng, and just call me Pepper from now on. At this moment, Tony Stark just turned in from the door carrying a large paper bag. While taking off his sexy sunglasses, he said, "Oh Pepper, some great cheeseburgers. I swear on my dad's beard, there's nothing better in all of Queens." Shit. Li Chengfeng, what are you doing here? And you're holding my girlfriend's hand. Tony was instantly overwhelmed, and his mustache was trembling. When Pepper saw Tony's expression, she felt a little proud and a little shy. Come on, it's just a polite handshake. Do you think everyone is like you, shaking hands and wanting to rub off a layer of skin? Li Chengfeng complained about Tony Stark's past, but he was not affected at all. Instead, he put the paper bag on the table and rushed over in 2 steps. He sat down between Xiao Leijiao and Li Chengfeng, separating the two people. Hey, are you a jealous elementary school student? Li Chengfeng pushed Tony Stark, who kept pushing against him. Pepper is like a sister to me. Even if I am a scumbag, I can't do anything to her, right? Don't be ridiculous. Everyone in the FBI knows that you are attracted to older women and you have an affair with the 3 older women in the star team. Ahem. A sister is different from a sister, Pepper, don't listen to his nonsense. Li Chengfeng hurried to explain that although he was a reserved person, he still wanted to maintain the image of a serious person in front of his friends. Humph, tell me, what do you want to see me for at noon, you busy man? You're not here to eat for free, are you? Have you ever heard that people who disturb other people's private time will be kicked to death by a donkey, and I only bought 2 burgers? Although Tony Stark still spoke in a stern manner, he finally stopped quarreling with Li Chengfeng. Hey? Will I be kicked to death by a donkey? I will come today even if I am kicked to death by Hela. Li Chengfeng smiled and put his arm around Tony Stark's shoulders. Who made my good brother Tony Stark do such a great thing? Didn't you text me this morning to tell me that you recently helped Nick Fury to transform and upgrade the latest model of flying aircraft carrier, and reached a new cooperation with the FBI and Stark Industries, which can greatly reduce the construction time of the flying aircraft carrier and is expected to be completed in a short time? When Tony Stark heard about this, he immediately put his arm around Li Chengfeng's shoulders, looking like a good brother. What's the relationship between us? Your business is my business, and I'm also very interested in a lot of your FBI technology. You know, ever since that little girl Sky became a member of your FBI, it's become much more difficult for me to hack into the FBI database. Actually, this matter started with Nick Fury contacting me, hoping that I could help solve the engine problem of your FBI satellite launch. I looked at the design drawings and found that only a few small changes would ensure that the satellite could continue to conduct suborbital flights without landing. Then the beautiful agents led by Nick Fury came up to me and complimented me. You know me, I don't like to pick up girls, but I like to show off my skills in front of beautiful girls. So I followed Nick Fury to the underground and sorted out the problems of the flying aircraft carriers. They are easy to solve and will be put into use within 2 weeks. After all, 90% of the construction has been completed. Tony Stark said here, pointing at himself complacently, definitely, I have filled the most important 10%. After hearing this, Li Chengfeng understood the whole story. God trademark doesn't like to pick up girls, but likes to show off his skills in front of beautiful women. What's the difference between this sentence and Lu Fengxian's sentence? Cloth is not good at fighting, but it is good at resolving a fight. Stark had inadvertently done himself a big favor. So, Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes, leaned over to Tony Stark's ear, and told him all the possible drawbacks of the Insight project. Tony Stark's expression kept changing as Li Chengfeng spoke. Ah? Then am I being more of a hindrance than a help? No, 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 we are just unaware of the aureole behind us. Li Chengfeng smiled. Insight plan? It's just the biggest piece of bait on the hook. I originally wanted to wait for a chance in the future to wipe out the entire Hydra in one fell swoop. But Grant Ward's assassination happened to create an intelligence blind spot in Hydra's vision for a period of time, and Stark's improvement of the flying carrier filled in the most important ingredient of the bait. It is better to do it now than to wait for a day. Since there are no major tasks recently, we might as well put the complete elimination of Hydra on the agenda. Using the superficial Insight project as bait, Hydra was given an opportunity to control the world. If they don't take the bait, then something strange will happen. Wait, Lee, did you tell Nick Fury about this? It won't be too late to tell that black salted egg after I complete the layout. Besides, I don't plan to let the Insight plan take effect. Besides, Hydra will definitely want to directly attack the America headquarters by then. This is a good opportunity to catch them all in one fell swoop. Catch them all in one fell swoop. You said that as easily as swatting a fly. Tisk, you're a 1,000-year-old fox, what's the point of playing Liao Zai with me? Li Chengfeng poked Stark's waist and said with a wicked smile, don't tell me you didn't leave a backdoor in the satellite and aircraft carrier databases that only you can crack and open. Do I look like that kind of person? So is there one? Have. Chapter 77. After Li Chengfeng reached a consensus with Tony Stark, they prepared to start setting up the entire scene. As an excellent, perhaps the best agent, this was the first time that Li Chengfeng had played this trick of luring someone into a trap and then catching the turtle in it. But this finally gave him a lot of real feelings of being an agent. After all, after traveling through time, all the things he experienced were so cruel that even a superhero might not be able to handle them. Thinking of this, Li Chengfeng made a video call with Phil Coulson using his personal terminal. A few seconds later, Phil Coulson's bald head appeared in front of Li Chengfeng. Li, why are you free to look for me today? I just completed the mission. As for the Star team, they just finished a month of armed training, so they are taking a few days off. I can't sit still, so I want to see if you have any troubles that need my help to solve. Don't be ridiculous. I don't have anything important to ask you to come here. But if you want to come, you can. I'm on my way to Peru now. Okay, I'll be there soon. Li Chengfeng nodded, opened the portal, and walked in. What? Nick Fury's black-boiled egg car? You can't get lost if you park under the Stark building. He even borrowed 2-wheel locks from the Stark Industries parking lot. Phil Coulson suddenly felt a chill on his back and found that Li Chengfeng had appeared behind him. To be honest, the portal is a good trick. I always thought it only existed in movies and comics. In my opinion, no movie or comic book can be more fantastic than the real world. Li Chengfeng smiled and patted Phil Coulson on the shoulder. Where are the team members? They are all in the operations conference room. This is their first time to come into contact with 084 items. Item 084, a special number of the FBI, means everything about this item is unknown. Generally speaking, they are either relics of ancient super civilizations or alien objects. For example, in the original book, Thor's hammer was discovered, with huge amounts of energy, but for some reason it could not be moved. It was just a standard 084 item. This brings us to the first object in history to be numbered 084, the Kree obelisk. This thing is truly a pit within a pit. The prophet on the outer layer is purely a protective layer used to kill non-inhumans. Because Jia Ying and the others melted the crystal that wrapped the prophet, causing the two to mix together. They would be released at the same time, which is why the non-potential inhumans were carbonized to death directly. In fact, pure Turigen crystal is not harmful to ordinary people. After all, it's because Jia Ying and his group of Inhumans are uneducated. But this is not their fault. Compared with the Celestials, where the mutants originated, the Kree Empire, which created the Inhumans, is purely a group of interstellar warmongers and has no reputation at all. I don't know how many times I was beaten by Odin, Hela and their men. Li Chengfeng and Phil Coulson walked into the Airbus operations conference room one after another. At this moment, the team members, including Steve Rogers who was not wearing a uniform, were listening to Gemma Simmons from the Science Baby duo excitedly talking about her yearning for the Peruvian biome. You should know that there are more than 200 kinds of snakes in the jungles of Peru. The venom of the South American giant snake is very strong. It not only has neurotoxins, but also can hydrolyze human protein and has a hemolytic effect. It is a very troublesome venomous snake. Steve Rogers whispered to everyone, "Is this child always this active and excited?" After spending some time with Steve Rogers, the members of Phil Coulson's team have been able to communicate with him normally without any worshipful expressions. This is definitely due to the fact that Steve Rogers has never worn Captain America's old uniform since he woke up from the ice. Phil Coulson, a die-hard fan, has repeatedly asked Steve Rogers if he needs to make a new Captain America uniform, but Steve Rogers has declined every time. After waking up, decades had passed, and his state of mind had changed by huge amounts. Maybe Captain America is no longer needed now, and Steve Rogers can live out his own style. So, what Steve Rogers wore was a set of standard combat uniform of the FBI, and only the familiar round vibranium shield on his back reminded the team members of him. Yes, he is Captain America. Well, it's just a minor occupational disease. Barry Allen replied slowly, just like Fitz gets so excited every time he sees Mr. Stark's armor, I subconsciously analyze every visible trace. That's good. I thought Gemma was the type who couldn't sleep the day before a spring outing. Well, from what I saw of the dark circles under Gemma's eyes, she was indeed too excited to sleep last night. Li Chengfeng looked at Steve Rogers who was so peaceful now, and thought to himself. What would happen if he were to meet Captain Carter? After all, one is about to lose his Peggy Carter. And the other one, Steve Rogers, had already lost her. Good afternoon, dear team members, I, Li Chengfeng, am back again. Before Phil Coulson could open his mouth, he heard Li Chengfeng yell ah. Suddenly, everyone in the team except Steve Rogers, including Gemma Simmons who was in an excited state, shuddered. This sound. Go away, demons. Go away, demons. Bring my cross over here. Oh no, I'm going to have stress vomiting when I hear this sound. Ugh. The scene, which had been relatively calm just now, suddenly became chaotic. Li Chengfeng's eyes trembled slightly. Are these bastards really that serious? Especially Barry Allen, stress vomiting? It was obvious that his training intensity was the lowest at the beginning. Please, Speed Force, hurry up and come down and chop me up. He really couldn't stand seeing Barry Allen acting like a little bottom. But it seemed that in the secondary fan fiction on the theme of boys' love, Barry Allen seemed to be firmly in the role of a little bottom. It's so miserable. In the original novel, they would offer sacrifices to the gods to restart the story no matter what happened. In the second novel, they even had to offer sacrifices of chrysanthemums. Oh, Barry, it's really hard for you. You. Ugh. Is it really that exaggerated? Li Chengfeng looked at the Phil Coulson team that was in a mess with some disgust, kicked Wade Wilson who was lying on the ground twitching to the side, made way for him, and came to Steve Rogers. I've heard a lot about you, Steve Rogers. Me too, Li Chengfeng, thank you for digging me out of that damn ice. Steve Rogers stretched out his hand and shook hands with Li Chengfeng. I thought you were going to call me Captain America. I didn't see Captain America, I just saw an old soldier who wanted to say goodbye to the past and start over. Chapter 78. When Li Chengfeng came to the Airbus through the portal, he was almost in Peru and there was not much time left. The Airbus belonging to Phil Coulson's team eventually flew over huge amounts of dense forest and landed on flat ground outside the forest. Then he drove the FBI's specially made off-road vehicle towards the coordinates that had already been determined. Li Chengfeng did not pull the portal directly. After all, Phil Coulson's team would not always carry out missions with him, so it would not be a good thing for them to get used to the convenience of the portal. Besides, it's not easy to travel across the country at public expense, so you have to see the scenery, right? After about an hour's drive, they arrived at their destination. This is an excavation site of the ancient Inca civilization. Li Chengfeng first went into the surrounding woods and took a look around. After making sure there were no traces of any large creatures, he nodded and asked everyone to start moving. After Fitz and Gemma gathered all the tools, they got out of the car talking and laughing. By the way, Gemma, is this the bushkill you mentioned on the plane? Hearing this, Fitz and Gemma immediately turned around and saw that a yellow-brown poisonous snake was wrapped around Li Chengfeng's beautifully muscular forearm. This ugly thing was indeed a giant South American bush viper, and it was biting Li Chengfeng's hand desperately with its mouth. However, Li Chengfeng's physical strength is still there, and a snake's fangs cannot break his defense at all. OMG! Is it fun to wrap a poisonous snake around your hand? And this snake is biting you. Don't mention it, it's really itchy. It seems that this little guy likes me. As Li Chengfeng spoke, he untied the snake from his wrist. Then he swung his arm and threw the snake back into the jungle. Snake, thank you so much. After seeing Li Chengfeng throw away the snake, Gemma came over to check Li Chengfeng's wrist. Although she knew that this thing couldn't break Li Chengfeng's defense, but the venom from the giant bushkill was now dripping down his hands onto the ground. Gemma quickly took out the high-concentration disinfectant and washed Li Chengfeng's hands. Gemma, although I know it's good to be careful, these snake venoms really don't affect me. I'm fine even if I drink them directly. Agent Li Chengfeng, I definitely know this won't work for you. Gemma Simmons sighed, but if the venom is not dealt with, I'm afraid other team members will be infected. Clean it up quickly to prevent you from causing trouble for us. Agent Gemma Simmons, as your leader, I have to say a few words. You didn't treat me like this in the beginning. Give back the admiration you have for the star agent, you bastards. Fitz and Gemma both rolled their eyes at Li Chengfeng and were too lazy to continue paying attention to this young high-level agent. He turned and walked into the ruins of the ancient Inca temple not far away. This ancient temple hidden in the dense forest has existed for at least 500 years. It is also the place where the 084 item was detected this time. Li Chengfeng followed Gemma and Fitz into the ancient Inca temple. After the two conducted the most detailed field survey at present, they came to a conclusion. Everything inside is ancient, from the Inca era, or even before the Inca era. Fitz pointed at something on the wall that clearly didn't look like a product of ancient civilization and said, but I don't think anyone with a normal IQ would think that this is something that should be here. In the fossil rock layer that was just mined at the innermost part of the temple, there is actually an unidentified object with an orderly mechanical structure embedded in it. Gemma continued, what does this mean? It means that it has been here for at least 1,500 years, which is longer than the existence of this temple. But judging from the craftsmanship, it looks a bit like a German product. Li Chengfeng looked at the science babies duo who were discussing excitedly and decided to go out for some fresh air. With Captain Cold's genius-level expertise in mechanical engineering, he could tell at a glance that this should be something like an energy transmitter. However, although he has knowledge, he is not essentially the type to engage in scientific research and technology. May, have you eaten? As soon as Li Chengfeng walked out of the ancient temple ruins, he saw Melinda May who had just parked the car in a secluded place. Definitely in Hyuxia. It is a happy thing to be able to communicate in Hyuxia outside the Republic. You should use such pleasantries on other people. Blame me, by the way, have you and Fury told Steve Rogers about Captain Carter's existence? Not yet. Rogers has just begun to integrate into the current generation normally. Don't stimulate him for now. After a while, I will take him to meet our Peggy Carter. She has been, relatively sober recently. When talking about Peggy Carter in this timeline, Melinda May's usually expressionless poker face actually showed a rare hint of sadness. Li Chengfeng immediately stared at Melinda May vigilantly. Why are you staring at me like that? Melinda May touched her face subconsciously, is there something on my face? No, I thought you would say the lines that an FBI agent must say in that situation. Li Chengfeng said with lingering fear, Peggy Carter is the closest character to your mother in your life, something like that. Believe me, I almost get a nervous breakdown when I hear this kind of sentence recently. Well, I have a real father and a real mother. Thank you, my dear parents. You have won so much with both parents. As Li Chengfeng spoke, he suddenly made a few tactical gestures used by FBI agents. Melinda May understood immediately. The two of them leaned towards the dense bushes on both sides. Then the two men attacked at the same time and pulled out several men with guns from the bushes. They are all fully armed soldiers. Li Chengfeng had noticed them as soon as he arrived at the outskirts of the Inca ruins, but he was too lazy to alert them. He always catches everyone in one fell swoop. The reason why he called on Melinda May to take action now was because the opponent's manpower had almost been assembled. Melinda May and Li Chengfeng knocked down the soldiers in front of them in an instant. At the same time, several military off-road vehicles suddenly drove over from all directions. Dozens of soldiers, also fully armed, pointed their guns at the two men. "FK, I just let it go for a while, how come there's a sudden miracle?" Oliver Queen, Wade Wilson, and Steve Rogers suddenly walked out from the dense forest of soldiers. Li Chengfeng spread his hands, indicating that he didn't know either. The 5 people present were all experienced agents. They just exchanged glances with each other and decided on the next course of action. 5 people surrounding dozens of people, that's reasonable. Then they performed a vivid drama of a tiger among the flock of sheep. Soon, there were dozens of people on the ground who had completely lost their combat ability. "I heard that there is a group of rebels in Peru who are resisting the government. Could it be them?" Wade Wilson put away his swords and said nonchalantly. "No, they are well equipped and well trained. No matter which country they are in, these dozens of people are excellent soldiers. They are obviously the regular army of the government." Oliver Queen observed very carefully, "But why did they ambush us? We have already informed the Peruvian officials this time. What happened?" Phil Coulson walked out of the Inca ruins with Barry Allen, and his expression suddenly changed when he saw the Peruvian government soldiers lying on the ground. "A group of government soldiers attacked us for no apparent reason. Don't worry, we used non-lethal means, so there is no need to worry about causing an international dispute." Steve Rogers' words gave Phil Coulson peace of mind. But what happened next made him spit out the reassurance that had just reached his throat. Because soon, a person he was once very familiar with appeared. More than 20 seconds after the battle ended, Peruvian military police commander Camila Reyes rushed over, and all she saw were soldiers lying on the ground groaning. And Li Chengfeng, who seemed to be waiting for someone. "Who are you?" Camila Reyes was shocked. "What happened to my soldiers?" "I am Li Chengfeng, a level 7 agent of the FBI. My team is here for a matter concerning international security." Li Chengfeng's expression was calm. After all, he knew exactly where the other party came from. The game of cat and mouse is something you never get tired of playing. Just as he finished speaking, some of the regular soldiers lying on the ground slowly woke up and could struggle and utter some groaning sounds. Logically speaking, they definitely showed mercy, otherwise even if it was non-lethal force, he wouldn't have come to his senses so quickly. FBI. Camila Reyes was a good actress. Her pretended confusion looked flawless. "I am Camila Reyes, the Commander-in-Chief of the Peruvian military and police. You need to explain your actions on our territory." "As you wish, Commander Camila Reyes." Li Chengfeng nodded and pointed to the Inca ruins behind him. "We have detected the existence of Item 084 in this Inca ruins in Peru. As the Commander-in-Chief of the military and police, you should know that according to the international convention signed by Peru, Item 084 is contained by the FBI and does not belong to the country of discovery." Seeing that Camila Reyes wanted to say something, Phil Coulson came over from behind and waved at her. Phil. Camila. Phil Coulson walked up to his old acquaintance with a smile on his face and said, "How many years have we not seen each other? You have been promoted to Commander-in-Chief. In fact, it was 3 years ago. Phil, we should say hello now." After that, Camila Reyes and Phil Coulson gave each other an intimate kiss on the cheek. Shit. It's Phil Coulson's old flame again. So what is the charm of this bald guy that makes such a charming old lady unable to forget him? It's just that Li Chengfeng's grandson is very bad. He likes to interrupt others when they are exuding an ambiguous atmosphere. "Are you Commander Camila of the Peruvian government? Very good. Now I have something I need your help with." "Oh, philosophy." Camila Reyes shook her head. "The agents under your command are all very good, but they lack respect for people." "Camila, I think you misunderstood. Although he is standing here, in fact, he is not my subordinate. In a sense, his position and importance are higher than mine." Phil Coulson's expression instantly changed from meeting his former ambiguous object to being businesslike. Although Agent Li Chengfeng is very casual, he never asks strangers questions without reason, so I think you'd better answer his questions honestly. Camila frowned slightly. "Damn those acute eyes. How could there be no information about such an important person? The situation was urgent, so she had no choice but to climb up the pole. After seeing Camilla acquiesce, Li Chengfeng asked, considering the situation of the Peruvian government army and the rebels fighting each other, how could the commander-in-chief have time to come here to meet her old lover? Or does Peru have the technology to detect the 084 object? That's why they deployed so many elite soldiers here. Actually, we were searching for the rebels, and encountering you was just an accident. You're just being stubborn. Let me answer for you. Li Chengfeng walked between Camilla Reyes and Phil Coulson and whispered, "Acute Eyes told you that Agent Phil Coulson will lead a team to recover item 084 today, right? They said it's a weapon that can be used to end the civil unrest in Peru. But, there's an obstacle that must be eliminated." Camilla Reyes's face changed drastically when she heard that. She quietly distanced herself from him, and looked at Phil Coulson with a complicated and resolute look in her eyes. Phil Coulson was also shocked, but he was surprised by the woman's cruelty. "So, when did you decide to give up the feelings between us?" "From the moment I saw your team." "Should I thank you for not deciding when I got the intelligence?" Camilla Reyes shook her head helplessly and decisively pressed the button on the communication device in her hand. For a moment, all that could be heard was the roar of more car engines in the distance. The number of people exactly matched the number that Li Chengfeng discovered when he first patrolled. The other party had indeed gone out in full force. "Subdue the FBI agents and seize item 084. Camilla Reyes ordered coldly, and then said to Phil Coulson, "I'm sorry, Phil, I have to make a difficult choice between you and my country. Don't worry, as long as you don't resist, I won't hurt you. After eliminating the rebels, I will surrender to the International Military Tribunal and the FBI." "Yet." Phil Coulson nodded. He understood that things were already irreversible. "So I turned and walked towards the mountain." "Bah! Turn around and walk towards the Inca ruins. Team, follow orders. Try not to kill anyone. This is your team now, so I'll listen to you." Old lovers don't talk about past feelings, but Phil Coulson still softened his heart. In fact, he is not a saint. If the other party has some evil purpose, he will shoot and kill without hesitation. But whether it was Camilla Reyes or these soldiers, they had no other way to save their country and chose to take risks. Phil Coulson really couldn't bring himself to deal with such a person. This is also his most humane side. After all, the black salted egg is extremely calculating and decisive in killing, but will anyone really like this black salted egg? Chapter 79. Honestly, Commander Camilla, I sincerely recommend that you surrender immediately. Li Chengfeng showed a sincere smile to Phil Coulson's old lover. "After all, I have to remind you that if you fight me, it will really hurt." Camilla ignored Li Chengfeng's verbal attacks and gave clear and concise orders. Team 1 and Team 2 are suppressing the target. Team 3 is on alert. Team 4 and Team 5 are surrounding the temple. We must not let anyone escape. In her opinion, although these FBI agents are very powerful and such a small number of people can actually make an entire combat team lose their combat effectiveness, they are still no match for the firepower of an organized army. If it was that scumbag Grant Ward, he would have to give up the head-on battle and look for other ways out. But in reality, even if Li Chengfeng was not there, with 3 top agents and Steve Rogers, the problem would be solved easily and happily. Not to mention Li Chengfeng, this idiot. Alas, she is so stubborn. Li Chengfeng expressed his regret for Camilla's choice. People are always like this. Before they show overwhelming strength, no one will listen to them seriously. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Chengfeng's eyes seemed to be filled with lightning. Lightning manipulation. Thousands of lightning bolts suddenly struck from the clear sky. Like the mighty power of heaven. The soldiers didn't even have time to shout before they lay on the ground twitching. Under Li Chengfeng's abnormally meticulous control, the scene seemed grand, but no lives were lost. After all, they are a group of soldiers fighting for their country. They take risks. Although it is not recommended, it can be respected. And the most important thing is that if he really killed these 100 people, he would be sued by the International Military Tribunal, and it would be a disgrace to the Republic. The head may be cut off and blood may be shed, but the face of the Republic cannot be lost. But these soldiers will have to stay in bed for a month or so. Camilla Reyes just stood there, watching everything happening in front of her with despair on her face. Hearing the sound of fighting outside, Gemma and Fitz ignored the excessive high-frequency radiation on the 084 item and ran out of the temple holding it. As a result, he happened to witness this scene that seemed like a punishment from heaven. Genma pointed blankly at Li Chengfeng, who was not far away. Another new ability. Can Agent Li still be considered human? If nothing unexpected happens, Li should still be considered a human being, right? I mean in terms of self-awareness. If possible, I really hope to give Agent Li a full body examination, with biopsies. Gemma said with admiration. After all, Li also has a powerful self-healing ability. When everyone heard this, they all turned around and looked at Gemma. Big sister, why are you becoming more and more like a mad scientist? Give Li Chengfeng slices for research? Why don't you slice it and taste it to see if it's salty enough? The difficulty is equally high anyway. Why are you staring at me? I was just telling a scientific joke. How could I really use my colleague for biopsy? Gemma looked at the people making a fuss in silence. Besides, I'm afraid I'd need a scalpel made of vibranium to cut open Li's skin, right? So we don't need to do a biopsy. Phil Coulson nodded with a smile. If you have any questions, just ask him. Li is always happy to answer any questions you have, right? And I'm also very curious about what Li's body structure is like. After Phil Coulson finished speaking, he turned around and contacted the International Military Tribunal. Since there were no casualties, it is estimated that Camila Reyes will be released after the International Military Tribunal negotiates with the Peruvian side. After all, during a period of civil unrest, the Peruvian government would definitely protect the military and police commander at all costs. But he had other problems. Tell me, Camila Reyes, who is that crazy guy called Acute Eyes? Have you ever met him in person? Everything about him is a mystery, but he knows everything about us, like a prophet in the legend. Prophet? Phil Coulson has never believed in such things, but there are always such facts in front of him that force him to believe. A prophet is dangerous, a prophet with bad intentions is even more dangerous. But did Li just mention Acute Eyes in Camilla's ear? Phil Coulson looked at Li Chengfeng, who was patting Barry and Fitz on the shoulders and bragging. Maybe I can get the answer from him. Li, I need your help on something. At the moment, Phil Coulson's team's Airbus has returned to the FBI headquarters and is now parked nearby. The rest of the team, at the moment, were waiting for the slingshot plan to be implemented again. The slingshot project refers to a plan to destroy these 084 objects that cannot be analyzed or controlled by launching them directly into the sun via rockets. But this is just to fool the low-level agents of the FBI. Agents at level 7 and above all know that the so-called slingshot plan is just a sleight of hand, and there is actually nothing in the rocket. Those items that were said to be launched into the sun and destroyed were actually sent to a top-secret warehouse called the refrigerator after layers of protection. So Li Chengfeng and Phil Coulson, who knew the truth, did not go to watch the rocket launch at this moment. Li Chengfeng put down the green carbonated drink in his hand and said with a smile, Phil Coulson, you really can't help wondering, you want to know who that BD called Acute Eyes is, right? I don't believe in prophets, but this man has obviously endangered the safety of the entire world. Li Chengfeng pushed a glass of Phil Coulson's favorite whiskey in front of him and said, think about it first. If he was really a prophet, why didn't he let Camilla find this weapon long ago? After all, this thing has been in the jungle of Peru for thousands of years. In the end, it was only when the FBI detected the existence of item 084 and sent your team to retrieve it that you told Camilla about the existence of this weapon. Li Chengfeng's words gave Phil Coulson a new idea. If this so-called prophet doesn't have the quirk of liking to watch friends break up, then it means that he obtained the information about item 084 at about the same time as the FBI. Is it just the same time? Then what organization in the world can be compared with the FBI in terms of intelligence acquisition? This Acute Eyes is simply a high-level FBI agent. Li Chengfeng was too lazy to play dumb, after all, he was not a charlatan. High-level agents usually check for intelligence and information that they could not access at their original level after they are promoted. It's just that you honest people just treat this as a little hobby to satisfy your own curiosity. But Acute Eyes treats this as a wealth code, making huge profits from all over the world through information asymmetry. And this person is an old friend of yours, FBI agent level 8, John Garrett. What? Phil Coulson slammed the table. Who can stand being betrayed twice in one day? John Garrett? How could it be him? Why can't it be him? Li Chengfeng curled his lips. Not only does he have Acute Eyes, he's also Hydra. Puff. Phil Coulson was just about to take a sip of whiskey to calm down, but was shocked by Li Chengfeng's next words. You are the reincarnation of a spray can, right? But who has a bald head in front of a spray can? Ahem. Phil Coulson ignored Li Chengfeng's joke and continued to ask after wiping his mouth, are you sure? John Garrett? The high-level agent who is as experienced as Nick Fury. He not only has acute eyes, but also Hydra. It's genuine. Li Chengfeng nodded. Do you remember the Centipede project? That's what he came up with to extend his life. And he also contacted Stark privately in the name of the FBI, hoping that Stark could provide research on extremis. Li Chengfeng's words made Phil Coulson's face more and more ugly. He never expected that John Garrett would be acute eyes. I never expected that he was not only an information dealer, but also a Hydra. There was a long silence, until Phil Coulson spoke again. Since John Garrett is Hydra, then, what about Grant Ward? I remember his supervisor was John Garrett. Yes, Grant Ward is also Hydra, which is why I specifically kicked him out of your team in the beginning. You drove him away. To be precise, he chose to leave under coercion and inducement. Bribery. As long as he works for me, I can give him a chance to live. Isn't this a huge benefit? But he is Hydra. Phil Coulson suddenly stood up, his gentle and approachable temperament completely disappeared. The FBI was originally at odds with Hydra. The civil unrest at the America headquarters that led to his death a few years ago was also caused by Hydra. How could we let Hydra go? Yes, but I promised, I will let him go. Li Chengfeng shrugged, but you didn't promise Grant Ward. Hey! Phil Coulson let out a long breath after Li Chengfeng expressed his opinion, and gradually calmed down. Li, you should have something else to say, right? You are not the kind of person who would expose John Garrett to me for no reason. Hehe, I still can't hide it from you. Li Chengfeng smiled, have you heard of the Insight Project? Nick Fury mentioned this to me when he was setting up Project Tahiti, but the program was suspended during the last FBI turmoil. Oh, Stark went to the FBI and, under Nick Fury's persuasion, he modified all 3 flying aircraft carriers in the Insight hangar. They will be completed soon. But, the Insight project is too risky. If the algorithm is modified, it will go from being a barrier to protect the people to a weapon to massacre civilians. Li Chengfeng waved his hand. Don't worry, this Insight project is real, but it is also a bait to trap Hydra. 9. Hydra. Phil Coulson's mind was working rapidly. You mean, after the last turmoil in the FBI, Hydra once again lurked inside the FBI? The last civil strife was just a trick by Hydra to sacrifice pawns to save the chariot. Li Chengfeng revealed all his plans. This time, we took the initiative to set up a trap, using the Insight plan as bait to lure in Hydra's main force and capture them all in one fell swoop. The mission of Phil Coulson's team is to protect the refrigerator. As the FBI's top-secret warehouse, the refrigerator is second only to Project Insight in terms of temptation to Hydra. Chapter 80. 3 days later, over the Indian Ocean, 50 kilometers away from the Lemuria. Li Chengfeng, you are only 25 years old. You are here to deceive. You are here to attack me. I am an old comrade in my 60s. Do you think it is appropriate to inform me, the director, only after you think the plan has been fully implemented? This is not appropriate. Ahaha, I think you can understand my feelings. It seems that I am just that important to you. Li Chengfeng crossed his legs, looked at the dark clouds in the night sky, and skillfully uttered the words of CPU Nick Fury. Stop changing the subject. Ahem, you want to hear the truth. Li Chengfeng chuckled, isn't it because you, as the director, are monitored by that shitty World Security Council every day? I'm convinced. Why is it that only your America General Administration cares about the World Security Council? Our boss Tao never bothers those stupid politicians. That was Alexander Pierce's decision. He thought the FBI needed to be monitored as well. But he is Hydra. If nothing unexpected happened, he was the one who planned the last riot in the FBI. Think about it, has the American Bureau of Investigation been restricted since that time? It's really him. Nick Fury muttered, and then immediately raised his voice, anyway, after this is over, you must give me a reasonable explanation. Okay, don't forget to act in front of Alexander Pierce. I'm hanging up. Li Chengfeng hung up the video call without waiting for the word FK to come out of the receiver. Then he looked at the time, set the automatic driving, and got out of the soundproof cab. And his expression also changed from the smirk he had in the video chat with Nick Fury to an expression of emergency. Everyone in the cabin looked even more serious than him, and he almost laughed out loud. The agents of the entire combat formation didn't dare to make a sound or even breathe. Because two guys called captains were looking at each other. Steve Rogers looked at Captain Carter with an expression of disbelief. Although Captain Carter was relatively reserved, his pupils were still shaking wildly. Both of them lost each other, and their meeting seemed to contain no more emotion than shock. After all, it's not the person they really miss. Sky felt extremely uncomfortable in this weird atmosphere, and her old habit of embarrassing others came back again. When he saw Li Chengfeng coming out, he rushed over. "Did you play too hard this time? Is it really okay to let the two captains meet directly?" Captain Carter is fine, but Steve finally accepted the fact that he had been sleeping for half a century. Don't worry, if he couldn't even accept this, he wouldn't have become Captain America. Li Chengfeng smiled, his heart is 100 times stronger than you think. But the atmosphere can't continue like this, after all, this is a workplace. Pa, pa, pa. Li Chengfeng stood up and clapped his hands, drawing everyone's attention to him. "I am Li Chengfeng, a level 7 agent of the FBI, and I am also the commander-in-chief of this rescue operation of the Lemuria Star. Sky, please synchronize the mission information with everyone." Sky nodded, took out his personal terminal and operated it for a while, and then a series of information appeared on the big screen. The Lemuria, the FBI's satellite launch ship, is now occupied by a pirate group of 48 people. They were well equipped with fully automatic weapons, and 6 targets were equipped with individual grenade launchers. The leader is George Bartok, the world's top mercenary. I won't go into detail about his criminal record, but in short, he is a ruthless and murderous guy. The pirates boarded the ship 93 minutes ago, when the ship was launching its last satellite. Steve Rogers looked at the information on the big screen and asked Sky, how much do these pirates want? $1.5 billion, but this is the FBI's ship. So this time it's Nick Fury's turn to clean up his mess again. Steve Rogers shook his head helplessly, then looked at the hostage list and suddenly frowned. Sitwell? Isn't he the agent in charge of personnel? What is he doing on the launch ship? Li Chengfeng was stunned. Sitwell? Although he was indeed on this ship in the original book, but wasn't that grandson killed by Grant Ward? What does this mean? Grant Ward lied to himself? It's impossible. With the caution of that scumbag Grant Ward, it's absolutely impossible. The cost of deceiving Li Chengfeng was too high, so high that he absolutely could not afford it and did not want to pay it. So killing Sitwell is the most simple, efficient and safety. However, Sitwell's death has not been discovered in the past few days, so this new Sitwell should have replaced him immediately after he was killed, so the outside world did not notice anything unusual. But who is this? It can't be Mystique, the mutants have been one of ours for a long time. Skrulls? Or some agent that can disguise itself. It seems that I must meet this Sitwell after boarding the ship. Li Chengfeng thought of this and immediately began to plan his actions. Captain Rogers and Captain Carter, the two of you will clear the pirates on the deck from both sides of the Lemuria. The others will parachute to the stern, sneak in and rescue the hostages. Sky will be the backup, hack into and shut down the security system of the Lemuria. As for me, I will go directly inside to shut down the engine and clear the entrance and exit to clear obstacles for the rescue team. If you understand everything, then get ready to act. After arranging the mission, the transport plane arrived above the Lemuria. The agent leading the battle formation came over, stretched out his hand to Li Chengfeng and said, "Agent Li Chengfeng, I will lead the elite combat formation this time." "Who are you?" "Level 9 Agent Maria Hill." The other party took off the mask that covered her face, revealing her short hair that was as short as her ears. "Speaking of which, this is the first time we meet, right? I've heard a lot about you." Li Chengfeng happily shook hands with Maria Hill. "Your figure and appearance are no worse than that of a goddess from Asgard." "I'll take that as a compliment." Maria Hill had a very good impression of Li Chengfeng, otherwise she would not have been appointed as the commander of this combat formation. "Then the rescue team will be under your command. I will follow your instructions. I'm a level 7 agent, you're a level 9 agent, you don't have to be so polite to me." Li Chengfeng was slightly embarrassed. After all, the 9th level agent is basically second only to Nick Fury, so if you insist, he is also his superior. Don't be ridiculous. Who in the FBI really regards you as a level 7 agent right now? If someone really thinks so, then her head must have been kicked by a donkey. Maria Hill waved her hand. What a joke. Everyone knows that you, Li Chengfeng, are a top-level fighter not only in the America headquarters, but also in the entire FBI. The identity of a level 7 agent has even become a deception to the outside world. Thanks for the compliment. After exchanging greetings with Maria Hill, Li Chengfeng officially arrived at the skydiving site. Okay, let's do it. At Li Chengfeng's command, the two captains were the first to take action. Just like in the original book, at a height of several hundred meters, the two were too lazy to bring parachutes. He jumped directly down, scaring the agents of the elite combat team. Don't worry, they never really like to bring parachutes. Li Chengfeng said to the agents while smiling. Don't these two captains know how to take the values of ordinary agents into consideration? The rescue team should delay their parachute jump to avoid clearing the deck. Li Chengfeng stood in front of the cabin door and gave another instruction to the rescue team agents. Then he leaned back and jumped off the transport plane. Everyone was startled, but they heard a faint rhythmic oath coming from behind. The hot blood is red with anger, taken from the remains of a corpse that has not yet cooled. Deep hatred and deep resentment boil the lungs. I will forge your path to the underworld. Red light transformation. After watching Li Chengfeng turn into a red light and fly towards the Lemuria star, Sky curled his lips and complained. You are the one who is least likely to take care of the agent's values. Have you seen Li? I haven't been able to contact him since just now. I can't contact him either, but with his ability, there's no way anything will happen to him. Steve Rogers and Captain Carter met mid-deck. While the two captains were talking, a figure suddenly appeared from behind and attacked Steve Rogers' back of the head with a brutal and sharp whip kick. This force and speed are intended to kill with one kick. And this person is George Bartok, the mercenary who has committed many crimes but has never been caught. Now, all the surveillance footage on the entire Lemuria has been replaced with home advertisements and Crayon Shin-chan. Seeing this scene, no matter how stupid George Bartok was, he knew that the Lemuria had been invaded. As Crayon Shin-chan sang "Elephant Elephant" on the screen, fewer and fewer people in the communicator could respond to his commands. He knew he had to take action. When I arrived on the deck, I saw Steve Rogers and Captain Carter talking. George Bartok, a veteran mercenary whose first priority is killing, naturally chose to take the initiative in secret and targeted Steve Rogers, who was wearing a shield combat uniform. Good plan. Don't plan it next time. Oh yes, there won't be a next time. At the moment of the sneak attack, George Bartok received counterattacks from the two super soldiers. Then came a brutal 2-on-1 fight. Do you dare to challenge me in a duel? George Bartok was lying on the ground with his last breath, but he still insisted, you only know how to rely on numbers and the shield. Bah! When I was fighting, your parents weren't even fertilized eggs. A duel on the battlefield? I'll pick your mother. Steve Rogers blurted out a string of national quintessence, mixed with a few swear words in German. Captain Carter cast an approving look at Steve Rogers. That's right. What veteran doesn't criticize others? It's just a pretense in daily life, but you can curse anyone you want on the battlefield. Then the two of them walked towards a locked door on the side, which was the control room of the entire Lemuria star. Crack! Captain Carter raised his shield, cut off the door handle and pushed the door open. Then the two captains ran into Li Chengfeng, who was copying information with his butt sticking up. Oops, this seems a bit awkward. Captains, I said I was just slacking off. Do you believe me? Chapter 81. Li, why don't you respond to the call? Isn't our mission to rescue the hostages? Steve Rogers walked forward and looked at the large screen in the control room, only to see a progress bar slowly moving forward. Li Chengfeng smacked his lips. If he was acting, he had to do it completely. When it came to acting, Li Chengfeng was a fundamentalist. So he also directed and acted in the Lemuria heist himself. But he didn't expect that he would suddenly replace Black Widow's role. In his imagination, Steve Rogers and Captain Carter, two tough guys, should not come to the control room after sweeping the deck, right? After all, how could it be such a coincidence that the bullet hit the door outside the control room? But the facts told Li Chengfeng that it was really such a coincidence. And the two captains attacked together. The only difference is that although Steve Rogers asked a question, he did not have much doubt about Li Chengfeng's behavior. He was really just concerned about why Li Chengfeng didn't reply to the call and was crying. Rescuing the hostages is the mission of the rescue team and the two of you. Although I am the commander-in-chief, I also have other tasks to complete. I hope the two captains can understand. Oh, I don't care what mission you need to complete. Steve Rogers waved his hand. On the battlefield, we just need to focus on our own mission. When Li Chengfeng heard this, he was slightly stunned. Is this the personality of Captain America in this world? You should know that in the original novel, Captain America was quite dissatisfied when he found out that Black Widow Natasha Romanoff was collecting S.H.I.E.L.D.'s data here, and he even got furious with Nick Fury after returning. Although Captain America was a noble person who could pick up Mjolnir, he was still immature in his actions. And the person in front of me obviously understands one thing. FBI agent, who hasn't carried out a few secret missions that no one else knows about. Normal. Captain Carter didn't say anything, but just looked at Li Chengfeng. This red uniform is very nice. Captain Carter, please stop teasing me about my outfit. Li Chengfeng curled his lips. I'm actually not very fond of this tight-fitting battle suit, but I have to say, it's really convenient. The progress bar advanced very quickly and the data transfer was completed in a short while. Li Chengfeng unplugged the mobile hard drive and then turned on the communicator. To Agent Hill. If you hear me, please respond. Maria Hill received. Commander, please give instructions. How's the rescue operation going? The remaining enemies guarding the hostages have been eliminated. The hostages are now completely safe. Apart from a few agents who were slightly injured during the resistance, no one was killed. Is Sidwell here? Tell him to meet me on deck. Okay, I'll convey the order now. After hanging up the call with Maria Hill, Li Chengfeng nodded to the two captains, signaling them to follow him. After walking out of the control room, Steve Rogers also picked up George Bartok, who was lying half dead on the ground. After the three of them arrived on the deck, they saw the rescue team's agents arresting the pirates who had lost their combat effectiveness. After a while, a shiny but somewhat wretched bald head poked out from the cabin. Agents! Thank you for your timely rescue, but I need to obtain the data information on this launch platform next. This is a task requested by Nick Fury. Well, it seems that you are not a Skrull. Those guys can at least copy memories for a period of time. Li Chengfeng hooked his finger at the fake Sidwell. After all, Sidwell understands that although we are both level 7 agents of the FBI, as the captain of the Star Squad, my authority is much higher than his. And even if there is no such thing as the Star Squad, he is just an office agent in charge of personnel. It is not his turn to carry out important and top-secret field missions. Agent, you. Okay, don't make up an excuse until you're done. I have something to ask you. Let's find a secluded corner. Li Chengfeng said, then turned around and said to Steve Rogers, Captain, lend me a light. Steve Rogers took out a lighter from the storage belt of his combat uniform and handed it to Li Chengfeng. Although he never smokes, a lighter has always been an essential survival tool. It's a good habit. But Steve Rogers and Captain Carter did not follow. Li Chengfeng did not invite them to join, which means that they are not suitable for this matter. The two super soldiers who had just joined the FBI simply began to help the rescue team transport the pirates they had knocked to the ground. As a high-level agent, we all know that Nick Fury has always implemented a system of segmented management for mission information, so it is impossible for you to understand my mission. So you'd better cooperate with me, otherwise you will have a hard time explaining to Nick Fury. Li Chengfeng took the fake Sidwell into the shadow behind the silo, during which the fake Sidwell was still trying to persuade Li Chengfeng. At first, Li Chengfeng just thought it was the hum of a mosquito and let it go in one ear and out the other. But later he became obviously impatient, and after he had completely walked into the shadows and no one could see them, Li Chengfeng turned around abruptly, grabbed Sidwell's neck and pressed him against the wall. Shut up, fake! Sidwell is dead, and I sent someone to kill him. Isn't it funny that you pretend to be him in front of me? If nothing unexpected happened, you must have discovered his body by accident, and you happened to need an identity, so you simply disposed of his body and then used the transformation ability to become Sidwell. Li Chengfeng looked into the other person's eyes calmly, but unexpectedly, the other person's expression was as calm as ever. You are a smart man, and this replacement is very clever, working in the office and has high authority. But you don't know enough information, or you don't understand the FBI enough. Now change back to your original form, or I will let Sitwell die again. Sitwell had no intention of resisting, but he did not cancel his transformation either. You seem to be very knowledgeable about the races in the universe that have the ability to transform. It's okay. Seeing that the other party didn't react, Li Chengfeng took out a lighter with his other hand. After seeing this thing, don't you want to say something? Sitwell's expression finally changed. Li Chengfeng lit his lighter without hesitation and walked in front of Sitwell. In an instant, the part close to the fire source turned green. Hey? A green Martian. Sitwell sighed, turned into an invisible form, and broke free from Li Chengfeng's hands. The moment he fell to the ground, he had already changed into another appearance. Agent Li, this first contact was not a friendly one. I think I've been friendly enough, otherwise I would have to reveal your identity in public. Li Chengfeng replied unhappily, okay, now can you tell me your real purpose? The Last Martian Manhunter, Ron Ronz. Chapter 82. Ron Rongzi didn't understand. Why does this young agent named Li Chengfeng not only know his name, but even knows that he is the last Martian? Compared to this, he knew that the way Martians were identified by their fire was not strange. After coming to Earth, Ron Rongzi has been changing his identity. He traveled to several countries and finally decided to settle in Washington. On his first night in Washington, he ran into Sitwell who had been murdered. Although Ron Rongzi used the telepathy ability to copy part of Sitwell's memory at the moment the other party took his last breath, the memory was not complete. He only knew the man's memories of the last few dozen days. After a series of considerations, Ron Rongzi chose to replace Sitwell's identity. Then he arrived on the Lemuria to carry out the last mission in his memory. Unexpectedly, not only was he found out to be a fake Sitwell, but his own identity was also exposed. Outrageous! And this agent Li Chengfeng who saw through his identity, is very strong. It was the first time that Ron Rongzi met such a powerful earthling. You know, even in his normal state, Martian Manhunter can easily lift objects weighing 100 tons. Even when the polymer ability is fully activated, its strength is comparable to that of a normal Kansas big guy. Even so, he was pressed against the wall by agent Li Chengfeng. Ron Rongzi, as a Martian, how does it feel to have to settle on Earth? Not very good, right? No, the Earth is a beautiful and vibrant planet. Ron Rongzi shook his head and disagreed with Li Chengfeng's statement. For me, this place has given me a new life. It is my second home. I will spare no effort to protect the safety of the Earth. Li Chengfeng was not surprised by Ron Rongzi's attitude. Just now he was just testing to see if there were any changes to this Martian Manhunter. After all, if nothing unexpected happens, Martian Manhunter's character is as noble as Superman's. Then you know that the person whose identity you replaced through your transformation ability is not only a high-level agent of the FBI, but also a member of Hydra. Hydra. Ron Rongzi frowned. When traveling to different countries, he lived as a civilian, so he didn't know much about evil organizations like Hydra. That's right, Hydra, a mysterious evil organization that has existed for thousands of years. The infamous Nazi Hydra during World War II was just a branch of Hydra in the long river of history. Li Chengfeng briefly introduced Hydra. In general, the ultimate goal of this organization is to rule the world, and Sitwell, as an office agent in charge of personnel, came to this ship to obtain the insight planning algorithm needed for Hydra's next move. Definitely, the algorithm of this insight project is fake. Li Chengfeng asked Sky to forge such a thing that looks like an algorithm just to lure the entire Hydra out of the water. So, do you remember who Sitwell had to report to after he got the algorithm? Remember, that person's name is Alexander Pierce. Tisk tisk, it's really this old BD. Li Chengfeng nodded, then put the mobile hard drive in Ron Rongzi's hand. If you really regard the Earth as your second home, then go and complete this task and give it to Alexander Pierce. Can I trust you? If you don't want to face a world without freedom and with aircraft carriers pointing guns at you all day long, then you'd better trust me. Li Chengfeng. You only know how to act first and ask for permission later, right? In Nick Fury's office, Li Chengfeng was eating melon seeds with the white duck egg as if nothing had happened, but the black braised egg was already showing signs of being furious. He doesn't care about Li Chengfeng's other actions that he makes beforehand and reports to the Emperor later. But what is the situation now? They are planning to do something big and directly wipe out Hydra, a huge evil organization that spans the globe. If you discuss such a big thing with yourself before taking action, you will die, right? But up to now, every step has been correct, so he can't criticize her even if he wants to. I feel so suffocated. Crack, 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 crack. Can you please stop eating sunflower seeds? I want to talk to you about serious matters. Kaka, kaka, kaka. What business are you talking about? Why don't you explain to me first? Why did you suddenly trick Tony Stark into perfecting a flying aircraft carrier? And you also sent out a group of beautiful female agents to confuse Stark? Why don't you let them confuse me instead? Ahem, I just think Tony Stark is a little bored lately, so I want to find something for him to do. Humph, it's obvious that you want to stir up trouble too. Li Chengfeng snorted coldly. Using algorithms, you want to launch 3 aircraft carriers fully loaded with weapons to monitor the actions of people all over the world. Isn't this an idea from the World Security Council? I think it has some potential. You're still feeling wronged. Li Chengfeng threw the melon seeds in his hand at the black salted egg. What the hell is the World Security Council? It's just a supervisory organization set up by politicians in a few countries who want to gain fame. Alexander Pierce deliberately listened to them in order to manipulate the American General Administration. This BDHLU Dan, you say he trusts others, but he practices divided management among the elite agents under his command. You said he didn't trust others. Alexander Pierce almost told him that he was Hydra in his face, and he realized something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. So what do you say? Nick Fury had no temper left and could only spread his hands and let others do what they wanted. What to do? Just do it like this. Li Chengfeng said unhappily, if you want to destroy them, you have to make them crazy first. If nothing unexpected happens, the fake algorithm should have been delivered to them. Then they will definitely gather their strength and kill them in one fell swoop to directly replace the entire American General Administration. Like that FBI rebellion a few years ago. It's much bigger than that. It's just a play to sacrifice pawns to save the chariot and to retreat in order to advance. Although Li Chengfeng looked down on Hydra's unpresentable MLM skills, it was an ancient organization that had been operating for thousands of years after all, so it was possible that they had some hidden cards in their hands. So instead of going to great lengths to eliminate Hydra around the world, it would be better to just lure them all into a fire pit and burn them all. So, are the 3 flying aircraft carriers in the inside hangar completely built? It will be completed in 3 days, and the progress is always synchronized with Alexander Pierce. Very good, the nest has been dug and the bait has been put down. Next, we need to prepare the scoop net. Li Chengfeng chuckled. It's time to load up on the big stuff. Chapter 83. Li Chengfeng has always been wary of Alexander Pierce and those Hydra backbones he could name. But they are all 1,000-year-old foxes, why are they playing strange stories from a Hyuxia studio here? Isn't Alexander Pierce also on guard against Nick Fury and Li Chengfeng? On the morning of the second day after the Lemuria incident ended, several messages popped up on Li Chengfeng's personal terminal. Hydra took action early. Attacked, but managed to reunite with Captain Rogers. Hydra is out in full force. Not only are there Hydra agents lurking inside the FBI, but there are also a large number of Hydra soldiers led by dozens of Winter Soldiers, who are attacking the FBI headquarters. Phil Coulson has gone to arm the refrigerator. Li Chengfeng sat on the bed. Although he wanted to curse, he was not panicked in his heart. The Star Squad is fully staffed, the X-Men are fully staffed. Hydra is just a turtle in a jar. But it was agreed that the 3 aircraft carriers would be completed in 3 days? It seems that Alexander Pierce has streamlined some of the functions of the flying aircraft carrier in order to gain a time difference and catch the FBI off guard. Well, after all, we are not fools. And what the hell are there dozens of Winter Soldiers? Is Hydra so capable of producing troops? Li Chengfeng immediately contacted Tony Stark. Hey, Tony, is it time? What time is it? I just laid down not long ago. Pepper finally let go of my old waist. Hydra has started to take action. Are you still paying your dues at home? What? The flying aircraft carrier will take at least 2 or 3 days to be built. Alexander Pierce probably can't wait that long, so he probably streamlined some functions and materials. Anyway, since they took the bait in advance, we'll close the net in advance. FK. I can't even take a break after paying my taxes. I have to punch that Alexander Pierce myself later. You go meet up with Nick Fury and Steve Rogers first. I've sent you their coordinates. Li Chengfeng ended the call and walked from the bedroom to the living room. I saw that the team members had already gathered. The 3 Asgard siblings should be the calmest. After all, this is not their hometown. To them, this action is just one of countless actions in the future. It is just an ordinary one. Captain Carter is also a veteran of many battles, but in her timeline, she was also fighting against Hydra, so she got into the state quickly, and there was already a hint of murderous intent in her brows. Only Wanda and Pietro, brother and sister, were a little at a loss as they encountered a big problem on their first official FBI mission. Ada Wong and Harley Quinn have already coordinated all the emergency information. Although there is a traitor in the FBI Academy, today happens to be the day of the FBI Academy's philosophy class. Professor X is the lecturer and all the students are present, so there is no need to worry about the combat effectiveness. However, to be on the safe side, the main force of the X-Men is rushing to the FBI Academy. Phil Coulson's team has already sealed off the Sandbox research base and is now heading to the refrigerator to set up defenses. John Garrett is also leading the Hydra soldiers to the refrigerator. The American headquarters has basically fallen. The agents, led by Maria Hill and Natasha Romanoff, are conducting guerrilla street fighting to delay time, but the aircraft carrier is preparing to take off. After saying that, the two looked at Li Chengfeng. Now, it's Team Star's turn to appear. Li Chengfeng nodded and immediately began to assign tasks. The 3 Asgard siblings are the strongest fighting force, but their destructive power is too great, so they directly clear out Hydra's manpower on the periphery. All the others parachuted into the America headquarters, with Wanda and Pietro as the core to carry out the cleanup. The first step was to regain control of the important floors and reunite with Maria Hill and Natasha Romanoff. What about you? Harley Quinn nodded, but asked Li Chengfeng again. I am definitely going to solve the source of the problem. See you later then, my pudding. See you later, crazy guy. On the top floor of the America General Administration, in the conference room originally used for remote meetings of the World Security Council, these high-level politicians from various countries finally arrived in person. But their expressions have changed from the contented look along the way to the Sima look now. Where's the new way to solve crime once and for all? Why did that damn Alexander Pierce want to take care of them as well? Do you want to control the whole world through this? Is your appetite a bit too big? Alexander Pierce now thought he had already secured victory and even had the leisure to chat with the politicians present. Just think about it. If your country were invaded like this, your parents, wife and daughter would be taken to the largest local stadium for collective execution. And you only need to press this button, and these 3 aircraft carriers will make those invaders disappear immediately. I don't need your buttons. The person who was talking to the old man Pierce was obviously a hawk, tough and uncompromising. He was also the only one in the entire World Security Council who disagreed with Project Insight. However, facing tough guys, Hydra's inferior MLM rhetoric is not enough. In this case, they usually choose shot. The best way to eliminate objections, efficiently and concisely, is to ask the cleaner to work overtime. Alexander Pierce obviously thought of this as well. He took a pistol from the Hydra agent following behind him and pointed it at the hawkish politician. Oh, Alexander Pierce is holding a gun, ready to kill a foreign politician? Didn't you refuse the Nobel Peace Prize? It seems really ironic now. Just as he was about to shoot, a voice suddenly appeared beside him. It was clearly a clear young man's voice, but to Alexander Pierce's ears, it sounded uncomfortable. It can be said that this is the sound you least want to hear at the moment. The owner of this voice has been ruining Hydra's plans since arriving in America. The moment the voice sounded, several elite Hydra agents following him all fell to the ground. Some had their spines broken by bare hands, some had their eyebrows pierced by heat rays, and some had lightning pierce through their bodies and turned them into charcoal. The worst one was the one who had his head pinched by the man, and the rage blood flame gushing out of his mouth like a maggot on the tarsal bone poured directly into his mouth, leaving no residue. After Li Chengfeng did all this lightly, he ignored the frightened eyes of the people around him, put his arms around Pierce's shoulders, then pinched his sagging cheekskin and pulled it playfully. Nice to meet you, Alexander Pierce. I'm Li Chengfeng, your destined calamity. Just as Alexander was about to speak, Li Chengfeng pinched his mouth fiercely. The pain in his flesh made him gasp. Li Chengfeng maintained this action, and after a while, a frivolous voice was heard again. Alexander Pierce, I thought you were a nice guy at first, but Hydra? Forget it, man. My damn dad, who died a little too early, tells me every day that Hydra is harmful to the world and has no benefit. Tony Stark pushed open the door and walked in, his brand new Mark-10 shining brightly. Following behind him came an expressionless one-eyed black salted egg. Oh, Nick Fury. When Li Chengfeng first told me that you were Hydra, I believed it because I also found some clues. But as a friend, I always had hope, hoping that you just went astray. Go astray. Li Chengfeng let go of his hand at the right time, and Alexander Pierce immediately laughed out loud. Since the kidnapping in Bogota, I have figured it out completely. This world is too dangerous. Terrorist attacks, armed coercion, and even missile bombings. These things can shatter our lives at any time. Sacrificing only 2 million people to save 7 billion people. This is an extremely cost-effective deal. It just depends on whether you dare to take this step. If you take this step, there's a whole new world. Nick Fury looked at his old friend who had gone a little crazy, shook his head, and gave his answer, but I have the courage not to take this step. Li Chengfeng is lifting all confidentiality and security protocols of the FBI. The FBI has never been afraid of being exposed to the sun, but the nine-headed insects who like to hide in the shadows and control the world don't think so. Li Chengfeng, don't you think this is playing with fire? You, Nick Fury, Black Widow, Maria Hill, all of you FBI agents, who doesn't have a dark history. Are you ready to be monitored by the whole world now? It takes 2 alpha-level administrators to unlock it. Can I borrow your iris? Oh, Pierce, definitely. I mean that you go with Fury to unlock it. I don't mean for you to take off your head and put it on top to unlock it. You know, I'm a coward and can't stand seeing that kind of bloody scene. Li Chengfeng pushed the old man who was at the end of his rope without any hesitation. Hypocritical beast, the 2 million people you said would be sacrificed don't include you, an old BCH, right? In the final analysis, you Hydra are just like that, cut off one head, 2 heads grow? It's just because of greed that you keep sacrificing. After all, the sacrifice you talk about will never happen to you. After saying that, he pressed Pierce roughly against the iris unlock panel. Nick Fury took off his eye patch and scanned the iris of the grey, corrupted eye. Encryption unlocked, non-disclosure agreement cancelled. Stark, you will join the battle with the captain from now on. He walked to the window and shattered the double-layer bulletproof glass that could withstand high-explosive grenades with one punch. Then flew out. Damn. We can fight, but how do we tell friend from foe? The Hydra traitor is wearing your FBI uniform. Sky has already sent Hydra's list to Jarvis. As for those sleeper agents that don't have any information. Steve Rogers took over the conversation, and rushed out the door with Stark, looking eager to vent his anger. Howard boy, remember this. Don't worry about so many things on the battlefield. Whoever hits you, you hit him. Chapter 84. Located in a secret room in New York. Gideon Malik, Hall White, Original Sin Cynthia Schmidt, Baron Zima, Dr. Faust, and Madame Hydra sat at a round table. And in the center of this huge round table is the Hydra logo. Alexander Pierce is at the American headquarters, Baron Strucker was captured in Latveria, and Hive is still playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on an unknown planet. Sitting here now are all the remaining leaders of Hydra. Where is John Garrett? Mrs. Hydra asked first. Who knows what this opportunist is going to do to save his life? Original Sin smoothed his dazzling red hair. According to intelligence, he led the troops that were supposed to attack the America headquarters to the FBI's top-secret warehouse refrigerator. Maybe he knew there was something there that could keep him alive. There's no need to worry about this guy. We had been planning to remove him a long time ago, but we didn't do anything because of his status as a senior FBI agent. Baron Zima has always looked down on John Garrett, and his methods are among the lowest among supervillains. Relying on the high-level authority of the FBI to obtain information gaps and pretend to be a prophet? After hearing this, he laughed for a full half-hour in his laboratory. Well, John Garrett is fine, but how did Strucker get caught? Didn't he negotiate terms with the Latvian dictator? Whitehall pushed up his glasses, his sinister eyes hidden behind the reflective lenses. And those biochemical lunatics who originally belonged to the Umbrella Corporation, do they still belong to us now? All they do is hide in that small country in Eastern Europe to do research. Don't worry about these trivial matters. The most important thing now is to take over the America General Administration and then launch the 3 flying aircraft carriers in the inside hangar. Although we can't really rule the world directly, we have the ability to negotiate with the whole world. As Dr. Faust spoke, he turned on several large 3-dimensional screens. The above is exactly the situation on the front battlefield. You can see that the current situation is really not optimistic enough. After the American General Administration seconded the agent named Li Chengfeng from the Republic, not only did its strength soar, but even with the undercover agent, we were unable to obtain much useful intelligence. Naturally, everyone present understood better than anyone else what Dr. Faust said. The reason why dozens of winter soldiers who had been hidden for so many years were thought out and sent to the front line at once was because they had no idea of the depth of the FBI, but the temptation of the insight plan was too great, so they had to take the risk with all their might. If you win, you'll get the ticket to divide the world. If they lose the fight, they will have to enter the incubation period that Hydra is most familiar with. Let's look at the FBI Academy first. Where the hell did all these Superman types come from? I know Nick Fury recruited a few guys with super abilities, but how many? This is AFG army of people with super abilities. The 1,000 Hydra soldiers we sent out are not enough for them. There is also the front battlefield. Can anyone tell me where these 2 monsters came from? Even if Master Beehive returns, can he be a match for these 2 monsters? Let's look at the FBI, which should have the upper hand. Maria Hill and Black Widow have been resisting stubbornly, but why did they start to fight back immediately after a few elite agents and Iron Man joined the battlefield? The battle situations displayed on several large screens were too tragic. The ones on the far right are the teenage superheroes and mutants in the FBI Academy, who rush directly into the crowd and use their superpowers. The most ironic thing is that the X-Men who came to support the FBI Academy because they were afraid that something might happen to the kids did not take any action at all. Instead, they formed a large circle and each of them was given a notebook, writing and drawing on it with a pen, as if they were giving grades to the students' performance. The scene in the middle is even more unbearable to watch. When the 3 Asgard siblings faced the Hydra army, it was no exaggeration to say that it was a massacre. Especially Hela's necromancy is simply a bug in such a large-scale battlefield. Not only does the more people fight, the more deterrent power increases. The companion who had just fallen beside him stood up again, and then rushed towards him. Both the visual impact and the mental impact were enough to destroy the will of a Hydra soldier. The large screen on the left shows that the battle situation within the FBI is relatively balanced, but only relatively speaking. Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, who fought from top to bottom, were like tigers among a flock of sheep, especially Steve Rogers, whose angry national curses resounded throughout the entire battlefield. If it were put into a TV series, every word would have to be muted. The 5 members of the Star Team are led by Ada Wong, who is most familiar with the terrain of the FBI, with Captain Carter and Harley Quinn as the vanguard, Wanda as the core of the team, and Pietro conducting a mopping-up cleanup. Their advancement speed is even faster than that of Captain Mustache and Captain Honey. We had clearly overestimated the FBI's hidden combat capabilities to the maximum extent, but we didn't expect that we still underestimated them in the end. Mrs. Hydra sighed. As the current supreme leader of Hydra, she had to make a dangerous decision. Release the Super Winter Soldier, as well. Are you serious? Even we can't control the Super Winter Soldier. Even if we can win this battle, how can we contain him again? Do we have any choice? Lady Hydra pointed at the 3 Asgard siblings who dominated the battlefield. Now only those 2 monsters can turn the tide of the war. We have already paid huge amounts of costs. We can only succeed and cannot fail. Even if I die, I don't want to enter a dormant period like after World War II. Madame Hydra slammed her fist on the conference table, and her sexy body wrapped in a tight green battlesuit trembled with the punch. But none of the other leaders present had the courage to appreciate it. Lady Hydra, since Red Skull was defeated and eliminated during World War II, she has become the commander-in-chief of the entire Hydra. Everything about this woman is a mystery. All Hydra leaders know is that she can stay young forever. As you wish. Whitehall nodded, picked up the communicator and said, "Deliver the Super Winter Soldier to the front line." I repeat, deliver the Super Winter Soldier to the front line. After the communication ended, not long after, 2 transport planes appeared on the large screen showing the battle situation on the front battlefield, with 2 large Winter Soldier freezers hanging under the transport planes. Then it was dropped directly onto the front battlefield, making a loud bang sound. This naturally attracted the attention of the 3 Asgard siblings. The next moment, the two freezer doors were blown into the sky at the same time. One green and one red, two huge monsters dressed in winter soldier uniforms walked out. Hulk! Smash! Chapter 85. Hiss! When Loki saw the two giant monsters, one red and one green, he trembled all over. What a nasty feeling! A voice in the dark told him that he must never let them get close to him. Otherwise, his reputation as the god of trickery will be ruined. By Odin. Two monsters far superior to the giants of Jotunheim. Thor smashed an unknown winter soldier into the ground with a hammer, and he couldn't get him out. Then he looked up at the two gamma monsters in the distance and couldn't help but exclaimed. Even Hela, who was the strongest among the three Asgard siblings, couldn't help but frown. These two monsters are very strong. Although he does not have the mysterious abilities of the level Godfather, judging from his energy level and physical strength, he is on par with her, a level Godfather. Even the physical strength is exceeded. This almost instantly aroused Hela's fighting desire as a conqueror of the 9 realms. Hela, you saw those two monsters too, right? As soon as he finished speaking, Li Chengfeng flew out from the top floor of the FBI headquarters and landed next to Hela. At this moment, he was still in the form of a red light transformation, with some blood flames floating around him. They are all mine. Even if you are my queen of gods, I will not allow you to snatch my rival away from me. My dear Lord God King, don't even think about it, one for each of us. Li Chengfeng smiled at Hela frivolously, the green one belongs to me. After saying that, without waiting for Hela's response, he accelerated and flew towards the Hulk. Are you trying to get my attention on purpose? Interesting man, you did it. Hela's mouth is full of domineering quotes that she learned from some social media platform. But I don't know why my temperament seems to fit the bill. After all, the Asgard boss is still a boss. Thor was about to speak up and fight with the red monster, but when he saw his eldest sister glaring at him, he chose to continue clearing out the miscellaneous soldiers with Loki. Joke. Although Asgard does not believe in the idea that the eldest sister is like a mother, there is still some blood repression in it. Most importantly, Hela has a strong fist. Even if I, as a younger brother, try my best, I am still just a younger brother in front of others. Well. Thor sighed and could only comfort himself in his heart. There will be more powerful opponents in the future. Turning around and looking at Loki who was in a daze not far away, Thor accelerated and flew over. Then a big slap hit Loki's little head. FK. Thor. Why did you hit me? You sneaky little brother. Why don't you continue to wipe out these evil people called Hydra with me? This is family status. If you are bullied by your elder sister, don't think about revenge, just take it out on your younger brother. To be honest, Li Chengfeng is somewhat convinced by Hydra in this world. It's much better than in the original book. In the original work, Hydra is always portrayed as an ancient and powerful evil organization. But the actual performance has been very poor. Especially in terms of high-end military power, they have always been very lacking, and they treat the Winter Soldier like a treasure. It can be said that Hydra, like the Winter Soldier they are so proud of, is only so powerful in the setting. However, the Hydra in this world can not only take advantage of the time difference to catch Li Chengfeng off guard, but can even increase the number of troops. The combat effectiveness of dozens of Winter Soldiers is quite impressive. If they hadn't encountered the 3 Asgard siblings and those naughty kids from the FBI Academy, they might have been able to achieve the Winter Soldiers' setting of completely paralyzing a country within a few dozen hours. There were also huge amounts of Hydra soldiers sent out, which is absolutely unprecedented. It can be seen that the other party's idea of wanting to achieve success in one fell swoop is exactly the same as Li Chengfeng's. What Li Chengfeng didn't expect the most was that Hydra actually manipulated the Winter Soldier to create 2 super Winter Soldiers. Hulk and Red Hulk. Li Chengfeng was wondering why such an iconic hero had never appeared, but it turned out that he was taken care of by Hydra. Although the fighting power of Hulks is indeed terrifying, they also have a common weakness. That is mental impact and control. Apart from those with telepathy ability, Hydra is the best at mind manipulation and brainwashing. So after paying a certain price, it is reasonable to catch Hulk and Red Hulk. It is even possible that the price has not been too high. After all, Hulk and Red Hulk have not always maintained the Hulk form. Bruce Banner is just a helpless scientist, and although General Ross is a lieutenant general of the American Air Force, he is just an average person to Hydra. No matter what, releasing a monster like Hulk means this is Hydra's last stand. After all, if Hulk is not considered a trump card, he can't think of what other trump cards Hydra can come up with. For example, the evil god Sithon? He is the god behind Lady Hydra. But the evil god on the same level as Gia would not be dispatched just because of a small Hydra. Hulk. Smash. Destroy everything. The Hulk, wearing the Winter Soldier uniform, has now begun to exude his ferocity and anger without restraint. Moreover, this Hulk has some simple fighting skills in his gestures. It seems that even Hulk can learn something from the training as the Winter Soldier. Humph, I'll let you go this time. Hela flew to his side and smiled evilly. I don't allow my queen to hurt herself, especially this face, do you understand? As you command, my god king. Li Chengfeng pointed at Hela with both fingers, and then the two of them flew towards the two giants respectively. This was also Li Chengfeng's first time to come into contact with Hulk. Although he had already possessed physical qualities similar to those of Loki, he was still not sure whether he could go head-on with Hulk. So he chose to activate the diamond form, and Unstoppable Force Incarnate. Hulk. Eat my super flying shoulder charge. With high-speed flight and the incarnation of unstoppable power, Li Chengfeng flew directly with Hulk on his shoulders and instantly arrived at the suburbs dozens of kilometers away. The moment of contact, Li Chengfeng had the leisure to glance at Hela. As expected, the two of them had a tacit understanding. Hela also tacitly chose to take Red Hulk away from the crowded front battlefield. They both knew that fighting against monsters would affect too large a range of areas. Although Hulk was caught off guard by Li Chengfeng, he reacted like a monster and counterattacked in time. Hulk clenched his fists and smashed them towards Li Chengfeng's back, trying to stop the collision. But the incarnation of unstoppable power took effect. Even though he suffered a heavy punch, Li Chengfeng still managed to knock Hulk into a valley in the suburbs. Li Chengfeng turned over and jumped out of the meteorite crater, grinning and moving his waist. Damn it! Hulk came here just for the kidneys. If I'm ever looked down upon by the girls on the team in the future, it's all Hulk's fault. But, how to deal with Hulk? Li Chengfeng thought about it for a moment, and a bad idea immediately came to his mind. Hulk was seen struggling out of the crater. Although his Winter Soldier uniform was damaged, Hulk was still full of energy. And he even more angry. But Li Chengfeng clamped his throat and tried to speak to him in a calm and gentle voice. Hey, big guy. The sun is setting. Then he extended his hand to Hulk, showing his harmlessness and kindness. Hulk also showed a confused look at this moment, and actually walked forward slowly, put the huge amounts of palm on Li Chengfeng's hand, and then, giving a wicked smile, Li Chengfeng instantly felt himself being pulled by a huge force and was knocked to the ground several times in succession. TMT. Loki's physical fitness. There is a curse. And this Hulk can actually play tricks? The big fool is interested in military strategy? Although Li Chengfeng materialized a barrier with the red light energy in time, he was not harmed. But I still hate myself for suddenly having the brain to do such a evil thing. What if Hulk doesn't do a fall after his evil smile but instead reproduces a classic Hulk x Black Widow gif? At the same time, in the distance, in the main battlefield of Washington. Cool. That's the feeling. IFG love this war. Loki suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of comfort in his heart. It was as if the humiliation suffered at some point in time and space had finally taken revenge on the unscrupulous businessman Li Chengfeng. Chapter 86. You kid, you're not stupid at all. Hulk. Smart? Little man, stupid. Haha. Damn it, I have such a bad temper. Li Chengfeng rolled up his sleeves, but an idea immediately flashed through his mind. Etc. Is this the Hulk who just accepted the hypnotic ability brainwashed by the Winter Soldier? Why does he feel so much smarter than the Hulk in the original book? Those who don't know might think that the Winter Soldier can assimilate IQs, and IQ 180 and IQ 18 can all be assimilated into IQ 50. This is definitely impossible. So, Hulk, you haven't been Hydra D at all, right? Hulk doesn't understand what you're saying. When you answer like that, you can no longer be the Winter Soldier, okay? Hulk is the Winter Soldier. Li Chengfeng was frowning. Where did this 3-meter-tall green muscular kid come from? Whose Winter Soldier is so talkative? But Li Chengfeng was too lazy to argue with this green fat guy. If he has anything to say, let him lie on the ground and answer. An angry red light shot up into the sky, and blood flames of hatred gushed out of his 7 orifices. The outward manifestation of the rage red light is far more noticeable than the wool green light. Otherwise, why is the green light a hero and the red light a devil? In terms of deterrence, the red light is the most powerful of the 7 lights. Hulk saw the terrifying blood flames emanating from Li Chengfeng's body, and he sensed the danger with the same instinct as beast. Monster! Hulk! Smash! Hulk jumped without hesitation and smashed towards Li Chengfeng with tremendous force. The classic Hulk opening move. But this time it didn't work. The barrier materialized by Rage's red light blocked Hulk's force, which was enough to smash a tank. The embodiment of the Red Lantern Demon is very rare. Especially in the original work, even Atrocitus, the founder of the Red Lantern Corps, would not use concretization at the beginning. The biggest reason is that the Red Lanterns will erase their humanity in the rage, and ultimately only pure rage and hatred will remain, turning them into mad shells that only know how to fight and destroy. But concretization requires sufficient reason and imagination to drive it. Although the Red Lantern ring created by Li Chengfeng does not have these negative evil effects, the current Red Lantern energy is not completely pure rage red light, but integrates the energy from the Crimson Universe of Sidorak. Therefore, the nature of energy is more lively and violent than the green light of will. It is much more difficult to condense and materialize it than the Green Lantern ring. But this has never been a problem for Li Chengfeng. Unlike the green light of will that drives the will, it is Batman's willpower that comes from the system. The rational yet burning rage in his chest was something that belonged entirely to him. In fact, he has always felt that he is more suitable for red lights than green lights. Bang! 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 The fists wrapped in materialized gloves and blood flames kept hitting Hulk, and for a moment the Gamma monster was actually suppressed by the force. But Li Chengfeng knew that this was just the beginning. When the light turned red, his sensitivity to the emotion of anger reached its peak. He could clearly feel that Hulk's resistance was getting stronger and stronger under his continuous heavy punches. The damage caused by each punch did not decrease, but the stiffness became shorter and shorter. Because Hulk's anger was rising steadily with the rhythm of Li Chengfeng's punches. Hot. So hot. Hulk is angry. Compared to his fists, it seemed that the Red Lantern's blood flames caused Hulk more pain. And Hulk is now able to start fighting back. Li Chengfeng punched him 3 times, and Hulk was able to counterattack almost once. The counterattacks are getting stronger and stronger. Li Chengfeng was also quite interested in his current limits, so he did not materialize a more lethal weapon, but instead began to fight with Hulk seriously. Li Chengfeng, who was at a red light, remained rational overall, but was somewhat easily distracted. But even Li Chengfeng, who is above him, has to admit that the existence of Hulk is a pure bug. As the rage accumulates, there is no known upper limit to the ability that increases. Boom! Finally, Hulk not only caught up with Li Chengfeng in punching speed, but also surpassed him in strength. After being shaken away, Li Chengfeng looked at the roaring Gamma monster in front of him and smiled. Hulk, you are indeed more powerful than I could have imagined. Hulk. Strong. Little man. Not as good as me. Not as good as you. Li Chengfeng shook his head. In terms of pure strength and physical fitness, even those level godfathers would not be able to compare with Hulk. If you want to defeat Hulk, you must kill him before his anger reaches a high enough level. But it's still too difficult to kill Hulk. Li Chengfeng touched the Green Lantern ring. Although the Ionic Shark has not fully recovered, the energy of the Green Lantern ring is sufficient. Then let's start round 2. The day is bright, the night is dark, there is nowhere for evil spirits to hide. The evildoers and treacherous party are afraid of my divine light, the green light is always on, shining forever. The green light of will flashed, and the red mark on the Red Lantern Demon's chest was instantly tampered with. Although it still has the appearance of a Red Lantern incarnation, the mark on his chest has become the mark of the Green Lantern Corps under the flashing green light of will. After obtaining the Red Lantern ring, the first double lantern ring transformation, Li Chengfeng felt that 2 completely different forces were gradually merging into one under the control of the lantern ring, erupting with energy far exceeding that of any single lantern ring. After a moment of experience, Li Chengfeng was convinced that with the transformation of the double lantern rings, he could defeat the 3 Asgard siblings. Hulk didn't understand what happened just now. Although he learned a little bit of tricks during his training as the Winter Soldier, he was still a big fool in essence. Hey, big guy, this is going to be a lot more exciting than before. Hulk. I'm not afraid of you. You'd better not be afraid. Li Chengfeng smiled faintly, stretched out his hand, and two red and green light rings burst out with dazzling light. This time there is no embodiment, only the energy of the lamp ring ignited by pure rage and endless will. Boom! Due to the violent explosion, the entire uninhabited area was slightly shaken. The air was filled with smoke, but this time, the law of no harm in the smoke did not take effect. Li Chengfeng waited for the smoke to clear and saw Hulk lying on the ground motionless, with green blood spilled all over the ground. He sent out a green beam of wool to scan Hulk's entire body, and discovered that under the explosion, most of Hulk's bones were broken due to the impact of the explosion, and more than 80% of his muscles were completely torn. But the surprising thing is, in just a moment, Hulk has begun to recover. Hulk, it hurts. Who told you to pretend you were the Winter Soldier? Hulk eats too much. They say the Winter Soldier is full. Chapter 87. Li Chengfeng looked at Hulk lying on the ground and listened to his useless excuses, feeling dizzy. Is this grandson real or fake? Joined Hydra's Winter Soldier program just to have enough food every day? Although we know that Hulk is mentally retarded and has a personality close to that of a beast, isn't this a bit too instinctive? So whoever has milk is the mother. Just to have enough food every day? Are you going to endure such inhuman torture? Hulk doesn't understand, what is inhuman torture? It is to weaken your will to resist through physical torture, and rebuild your worldview through brainwashing. The process is also accompanied by various electric shocks, drugs and other treatments. Hulk knows this. It doesn't hurt. Haha. As Hulk smiled with a bit of complacency but innocence, Li Chengfeng indeed felt a sense of relief. Hydra is indeed my younger brother. Can't even break Hulk's defense. But... Hulk smiled, but then changed the subject, but Banner is scared. Hulk, protect the weak Banner. You mean? Dr. Banner was also forced to undergo Winter Soldier level brainwashing. Banner can't control himself, so Hulk is the boss. Li Chengfeng looked at Hulk's innocent and sincere eyes and couldn't help but shook his head. So Bruce Banner always treated Hulk as a disease and tried to cure him, but after being captured by Hydra, it was still Hulk who protected him. Scumbag. But since Hulk was not brainwashed by Hydra, then... Hulk, if I can keep you fed, will you come hang out with me? But, the red and green men just hurt Hulk, and Hulk is not happy. But you can have enough food to eat and someone to fight with you. Fight with me? Yes, I have a big, golden-haired guy at home who loves to beat up strong men. There's also a handsome and sinister black-haired guy who you can play with when you're unhappy. Hulk. Happy. Hulk. Willing. Li Chengfeng broke out in a non-existent cold sweat. A sense of guilt rose in my heart. Damn it. Why does Hulk have the illusion of kidnapping a child? Moo. Li Chengfeng. Quickly release the Red Lantern Furnace. This big, stupid guy is perfect for joining the Red Lantern Corps. Oh. This is pure rage without any impurities. The silly lowly voice of Suetonius sounded in Li Chengfeng's ears, making him very excited. In fact, Blood Slaughter Bull wanted Li Chengfeng to take out the Red Lantern Furnace from the very beginning, but in the previous battle, the equally fierce anger of Hulk and Li Chengfeng made Blood Slaughter Bull forget about this matter for a moment, and he only wanted to absorb these pure rage to make himself grow. However, when he heard the sound of the Blood Slaughter Bull, Li Chengfeng inexplicably thought of the Ion Shark. Although he has a little kidney deficiency, the sound of kidney deficiency is still quite strange. Li Chengfeng stretched out his other hand to summon the ancestor's Red Lantern Furnace, and as usual, he put a finger in it and rubbed the bloody bull for a while. Moo. Li Chengfeng. You, a human, are so skilled at petting a cow. What a joke. Every man who has been single for a long time will do this. After the bloody bull was tickled to death, it started running around in circles in the red light furnace. And with each circle, the energy of the red light gradually condensed. Boo. I saw a new red lantern ring floating out from the lamp furnace. It hung in front of Hulk. Intelligent life has been targeted. Hulk and Bruce Banner from Earth. There is a boiling rage in your heart. You belong to the Red Lantern Corps. Li Chengfeng was stunned for a moment. It was the first time he heard that two names would appear in the welcome speech of the Lantern Ring. Definitely, in the original novel, the Lantern Ring was not worn on the hands of people with different personalities and different forms. I can only say that the lamp ring is smart enough. At the same time, on the other side of the battlefield. Hela breathed heavily, and her hair, which Ada Wong and Harley Quinn had specially done for her, was a little messy. She had to admit that this was indeed the most intense battle she had experienced since leaving the sealed dimension. Overall, it is stronger than the duplication of Satoruk. This guy who calls himself Red Hulk is a really good opponent. You are very good. I am just a little bit away from defeating the goddess of death. Hela gestured with her thumb and index finger, and Loki, who was watching the fun nearby, seemed to see the entire vast universe between these two fingers. And the previously majestic and powerful Red Hulk, at the moment, had been beaten into General Thaddeus Ross by Hela. He was carried on the shoulders of two Hydra soldiers who had stood up again under the influence of necromancy magic, and his two graying mustaches twitched from time to time. He was still mumbling Hydra hail. It seems that, like Bruce Banner's situation, the humanoid body was brainwashed by the hypnotic ability. But Hulk is not only another form of Bruce Banner, but also another personality of Bruce Banner, so Hulk is not brainwashed. But Red Hulk is different. After General Thaddeus Ross transformed into Red Hulk, he retained his sanity and original personality, which led to Red Hulk truly becoming the Super Winter Soldier. It's totally different from Hulk, that big stupid guy who's only thinking about getting other people's food. But at the same time, Red Hulk does not have Hulk's physical strength that can be infinitely increased as his anger rises, although he also has the ability to absorb radiation and release high-temperature flames. But it's not good enough in front of Hela. Hela enthusiastically fought close combat with Red Hulk for a few minutes, but then lost interest. As a fierce man who had fought Flame Giant Surti and King Lauf of Giants of Jotunheim, Red Hulk's high heat attack. That's about it. The witch is calling for death. The witch is calling for death. Please reply if you get it. Please reply if you get it. The communicator, which had been on standby mode, rang. Which is the code name of Ada Wong, and death is the code name of Hela. For Hela, this novel agent game of substitution is very interesting. Death received, please speak, witch. The headquarters building has been cleared. Two powerful energy sources have just been detected. Are they enemies? Should we engage in a battle with them? My queen took one away, and I knocked down the other one, and Loki told me that this person seemed to be a general from America. General? The only general whose whereabouts remain unknown in all these years is an Air Force Lieutenant General named Thaddeus Ross. If nothing unexpected happens, it will be him. What about the other one? Hasn't Li Chengfeng been dealt with yet? Hela did not answer. After all, she didn't know the battle situation on Li Chengfeng's side. Eldest sister, look over there. Thor, who was passing by after dealing with the enemy on the other side, suddenly stopped in midair and pointed into the distance. Hela looked in the direction Thor pointed, that was the direction Li Chengfeng led another green giant away. At this moment, a pure red light of rage pierced the sky. Chapter 88. The FBI's top-secret warehouse refrigerator. This is a special FBI facility located in a confidential location. Only FBI agents with level 7 clearance or above can access the route leading here. The refrigerator is used to store most of the 084 items waiting to be studied and to secretly detain a large number of special prisoners. If the legendary team had not shown up at that time, Li Chengfeng would have sent Captain Cold, Heatwave and Constantine here. Since the external defense of the refrigerator is extremely strong, and the fewer people who know about this place, the better, the number of defenders here has always been kept to a minimum. Just enough to keep the entire refrigerator running. When Hydra suddenly launched a sneak attack and prepared to seize the FBI headquarters in advance, Phil Coulson, according to Li Chengfeng's instructions and Nick Fury's orders, led all the team members except Steve Rogers to the refrigerator for garrison. As expected, as soon as the war between America headquarters and Hydra started, John Garrett secretly took a part of the troops that were supposed to attack America headquarters and instead attacked the refrigerator. That's 500 Hydra soldiers and 4 Winter soldiers. However, in order to break through the refrigerator's external defense that is strong enough to withstand a nuclear explosion, John Garrett is prepared to use a self-torture tactic. Damn it! Open the door quickly. Phil Coulson, do you want us to die outside like this? John Garrett and his Hydra agents, who were still wearing FBI uniforms, huddled behind bunkers in a panic, avoiding the heavy fire from heavy-armed helicopters. There was a flashy and ostentatious Hydra logo printed on the attack helicopter, as if they were afraid that others would not know that they were Hydra members. At the moment inside the refrigerator door, the agent standing behind Phil Coulson who was responsible for guarding the refrigerator was extremely anxious when he saw this scene, because according to Nick Fury's order, Phil Coulson would always retain command of the entire refrigerator until the next order was conveyed. This high-level agent with a legendary experience looked calmly at John Garrett who was adding to the drama outside from the beginning, as if I saw a clumsy but brilliant scam on the roadside. The agent guarding the refrigerator looked at the almost exhausted cover behind John Garrett, gritted his teeth, and finally chose to bypass Phil Coulson standing in front of him and prepare to open the refrigerator door directly. "I'm sorry, sir. We can't just stand by and watch our brothers die, ah." But before he could press the button to open the door, another person pressed it against the wall like a button. "No, buddy, are you a tiger? If the agents of a top-secret facility let someone in without orders, be careful during this period and arrest them as Hydra's sleeper agents." "Li? Why are you here? Has the frontal battlefield been resolved? We have basically won the frontal battle, now it's time to wipe out the remaining troops." Li Chengfeng narrowed his eyes and looked at John Garrett who was looking impatient outside the gate, and smiled maliciously. "Look, I asked you to guard the refrigerator, didn't I? John Garrett even came here to perform a big show to entertain you in case you get bored." The only person who came to perform the self-torture tactic was John Garrett, and there was no sign of Grant Ward. As expected. Grant Ward is a true egoist, and he is extremely loyal when John Garrett has the ability to control the overall situation. But after meeting Li Chengfeng, he would definitely not follow John Garrett to cause trouble again. Because he knew that with Li Chengfeng around, everything John Garrett did was in vain. Useless work means meaningless, and he never does meaningless things. After all, no one wants to die in vain. Poor John Garrett's life is coming to an end, and his only confidant Grant Ward has disappeared. The assault on the refrigerator with the Winter Soldier and Hydra soldiers led by him is the last stand. Logically, the success rate should be high because the person guarding the refrigerator is Phil Coulson. Although Phil Coulson's team includes Captain America Steve Rogers, he is currently on the front line. So the only ones left in Phil Coulson's team who are capable of fighting are Iron Knight Melinda May, Green Arrow Oliver Queen and Deadpool Wade Wilson. Although the three of them are all famous, they are still ordinary people after all. Not only do he have 500 Hydra soldiers under his command, but he also has 4 Winter Soldiers at his command. Take them down, that's enough. Phil Coulson. Stop hesitating. Don't you even believe me? In order to perform his role well and strive for authenticity, the pilot of this heavy-armed helicopter really tried to destroy the bunker completely. The hail of bullets, flying sand, and rocks at this moment are 100% real. John Garrett could only huddle behind the shelter, unable to even raise his head. "Phil Coulson, I retrieved some surveillance footage from further away and discovered that John Garrett came with the Hydra army. He is also Hydra." "Li. When did you get here?" Sky trotted over to Phil Coulson holding her precious laptop. When she saw Li Chengfeng, she showed a look of surprise and joy. Li Chengfeng and Phil Coulson looked at each other and felt that it was almost time. So he said to Sky who came over, "Open the door." Although she didn't know what Li Chengfeng was going to do, she still pressed the door opening button without hesitation, allowing Garrett and the Hydra agents behind him to rush in. "Oh my god, Phil Coulson, I thought you had really learned from that Nick Fury guy and were going to abandon me for the safety of the refrigerator." John Garrett showed a sinister grin and was about to show his hand and take action, but then his whole face froze. Because he saw Sky standing behind Phil Coulson and Li Chengfeng. "Agent John Garrett, nice to meet you." "Agent Li Chengfeng, aren't you at the headquarters?" "Oh? John Garrett, weren't you chased all the way here by Hydra? You were so carefree on your way to escape, and you even knew my whereabouts? Are you concerned about me? Or are you afraid of running into me? I don't know what misunderstanding you have about me, but don't talk about other things for now. I have something more important that needs your assistance." "What are you talking about?" "I have received accurate information that there are a batch of Hydra agents in the refrigerator." "What? Hydra?" John Garrett pretended to be shocked. Even a top-secret facility like the refrigerator has Hydra members. Hydra, being omnipresent is a basic skill. Although a little bit weak, they are really good at lurking. As Li Chengfeng spoke, he moved closer to John Garrett. "Then we can't wait any longer. We must quickly eliminate these Hydras, otherwise those 084 items will be taken by Hydra." "Yes. Li Chengfeng's instantaneous speed, under the control of lightning, was almost invisible to the naked eye. Only traces of bright silver light could be seen cutting through the air. The Hydra agent that rushed in with John Garrett was completely unable to withstand Li Chengfeng's strength. In just 2 breaths, all the Hydra agents fell to the ground. It was a fatal blow, a nearly perfect killing technique. Sky and Phil Coulson didn't react in time. They just felt a flash of lightning before their eyes. Apart from Li Chengfeng, only John Garrett was still standing. Li Chengfeng, you openly attacked and killed FBI agents? Are you a Hydra? My god, you are such a great actor, aren't you? But dear Acute Eyes, the only Hydra here is you. Li Chengfeng didn't care at all that John Garrett was pointing his gun at him. He stretched out his finger and tapped John Garrett's chest. His smile was bright and cheerful, and you couldn't tell at all that he was a Hydra agent who had just killed a team. False accusation. You are falsely accusing me. SHH, don't quibble. It's too ugly to force a weak quibble. Li Chengfeng put his index finger on his lips and looked up at John Garrett. I actually understand you. After all, who doesn't want to live a few more days? As the prototype of the Death Warrior, you are only one step away from death. You don't have to rely on injecting extremists to maintain your despicable life. How do you know that? How should I know? Would the prophet Acute Eyes, who is said to be omnipotent, also have doubts? Li Chengfeng used exaggerated acting skills to express the feeling of being shocked. Then one hand clamped John Garrett's neck tightly, walked to the door, and pressed his face against the transparent door. As John Garrett successfully entered the refrigerator, the 500 Hydra soldiers and 4 Winter soldiers no longer hid their tracks and gathered directly in front of the gate. Just waiting for John Garrett to open the door and let them in. When Li Chengfeng saw all this, he just chuckled. The other hand pressed on the door, and a portal was created in the air outside the door. This portal, relatively large. The Winter soldier all looked at the portal that suddenly appeared in front of them and immediately became alert. They didn't quite understand what it was, nor did they know what would come out of it. As Hydra's most relied upon secret weapon, these 4 Winter soldiers never let their guard down and will go all out even on the weakest targets. But there is one thing that is very unfortunate, that is. Tried my best, but it was no use. Roar. An angry roar came from the portal. What followed was a beam of rage blood flame as thick as a normal person's thigh spurting out from the portal. The 4 Winter soldiers managed to dodge it, but the Hydra soldiers behind them suffered. The next moment, Hulk, wearing a red and black battle suit, stepped out of the portal, with burning rage blood flames flowing from the corners of his mouth. Li Chengfeng said in John Garrett's ear, accompanied by the wailing of the Hydra soldiers, "My favorite thing in life is to watch self-righteous people die with regrets." Happy Death Day John Garrett. Chapter 89. Although John Garrett is despised by other Hydra leaders for his style and abilities. But he is one of the leaders after all. In addition to having some authority to mobilize the Hydra army and the Winter Soldier, he is also aware of the existence of the Super Winter Soldier. Those 2 killer weapons, one green and one red, were once Hydra's most terrifying trump cards. But isn't this familiar green guy the Super Winter Soldier? Why did he rush out from the portal built by the monster Li Chengfeng? The Winter Soldier rebels? What's with the red and black battle suit on him? What organization does the symbol on the chest represent? Was that a flame that he just spewed out of his mouth? Does the green Super Winter Soldier have this ability? A series of questions flooded into John Garrett's mind. But he was unable to think and never had the chance to get an answer. He saw out of the corner of his eye that his body suddenly fell down, and the next moment, his consciousness completely sank into darkness. Li Chengfeng cut off his neck with his heat vision. Just like he said, he died with his eyes open. Li Chengfeng threw John Garrett's head aside, and then looked at Hulk with interest as he officially joined the Red Lantern Corps and became a member of the Red Lantern. All I can say is that judging from the attributes of the Red Lantern, Hulk is simply the most perfect Red Lantern demon, no doubt about it. Originally Hulk had an ability that increased with his rage, with no known upper limit. Now he has become a Red Lantern demon with rage as his energy source. With the combination of the two, Hulk can be said to be the most terrifying numerical monster. As long as Hulk doesn't encounter a terrifying existence that can conceptually erase him with just a thought, he can theoretically deal with all other enemies. Definitely just in theory. Otherwise, Li Chengfeng would not have been able to use the power of the red and green lights to defeat Hulk, whose anger level had not yet reached a peak. In short, in a protracted war, Hulk will win. At this moment, Red Light Hulk rushed into the ranks of Hydra's soldiers. To say that he was like a tiger among a flock of sheep would be a compliment to them. It should be the elephant stepping on the ant. Even the 4 Winter soldiers only resisted for a short while before Hulk tore one of them apart with his bare hands and killed another by spitting rage blood flames into his mouth. There were 2 more that he held in his hands, which turned into 2 powerful weapons, swinging them open and close as if he was playing some kind of musu mowing game. After dealing with all the Hydra soldiers, the 2 Winter soldiers in Hulk's hands were torn into pieces and had long since died. It was a hearty, one-sided massacre. Li Chengfeng sighed and pressed the button to open the door. By the way, he kicked John Garrett's body and head out. Don't dirty the good ground of our FBI. Hulk, burn them all. Don't waste the FBI's resources dealing with the corpses of these 9-headed bugs. When Hulk heard the command from the boss, Li Chengfeng, he immediately patted his chest excitedly and shouted loudly, Hulk, flame. This green fat guy, who is no different from a child in terms of intelligence and emotion, is very curious about his new ability and even gave himself a new name. It's no different from a little kid who picked up a branch and named it the best sword in the world. Ahem, Li, so what is this? Phil Coulson looked at Hulk who was spewing rage blood flames and couldn't help but ask Li Chengfeng a question. The visual effect of this green monster is so terrifying. This is the Hulk. Before he transformed, he was called Bruce Banner. He is an expert in gamma rays and has 7 doctorates in nuclear physics, radiation physics, biochemistry, engineering, robotics, computer science, and mathematics. God knows why he got so many degrees. Is he going to use his doctorate certificates as table legs? Geniuses always like to prove their abilities in certain areas, otherwise why would Stark keep updating his Iron Man armor? That makes sense. Li Chengfeng nodded, but compared to Bruce Banner, Li Chengfeng liked the fat green guy Hulk more. But Hulk and Bruce Banner are destined to be 2 sides of the same coin. In essence, this most frequently appearing Savage Hulk can basically be regarded as Bruce Banner's childhood personality. The Lantern Festival welcome speech is something that belongs to the level of cosmic law, and it also tacitly confirms that Hulk and Bruce Banner are the same person. But Bruce Banner just wanted to be a scientist, not a superhero. Hulk doesn't know what a superhero is. He just wants to have a good meal and fight with a strong guy. It is a tragedy that 2 extreme contradictions exist in one body. Li Chengfeng was still feeling sad for the green fat guy Hulk, but Sky on the side was extremely excited. Don't forget, this kid is a huge superhero fan, and he can actually do things like break off the logo on Stark's car in the Stark building parking lot. The green monster destroys Hydra's evil plan. Typical superhero plot. I'm still destroying the kitten. Li Chengfeng rubbed Sky's little head, then took out a pure Turigen crystal from his pocket. By the way, this thing is for you. It cost a lot of money. I feel so sorry for you, buddy. What is this? Sky's attention was immediately attracted by the sparkling purple crystal. Give me a crystal? I'm not a girl that can be won over by a piece of crystal. At least you can make a ring out of platinum. What the hell are you talking about? Li Chengfeng put the Turigen crystal into Sky's hand, then lowered his head and whispered, when you are alone, smash this thing, and then you will thank me. This time, Hydra's attempt to subvert the FBI was a complete failure. Although the 3 flying aircraft carriers were successfully launched, but the InSight project was originally fake. Hydra then sent the prototype of the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, with Animzola's consciousness storage device to the flying aircraft carrier, attempting to let Animzola take over the flying aircraft carrier directly through his consciousness. Even if there is no InSight project by then, they can create one themselves. The effect is the same. But unfortunately, Beiji met Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, who came together. Although Steve Rogers recognized at first glance that the killer with beggar smoky makeup was his childhood friend Bucky Barnes, but without any hesitation, he took the shield and directly flipped her face. Through Jarvis's facial scan, Tony Stark also learned that the other party was Captain America's childhood friend and comrade in arms, and he couldn't help but exclaimed, "FK, Captain, can you be gentler on your childhood friend? Rogers Bucky." Trademark. After hearing what Steve Rogers said, Tony Stark realized that now was not the time to show mercy and try to regain his brother's sanity in the battle, so he also rushed forward, ready for a righteous 2-on-1 fight. This is what Captain America just taught him. Never fight alone if you can in a group. The two men, one on the left and one on the right, beat Bucky Barnes so hard that he could hardly take care of himself. Steve Rogers even worked with Tony Stark to remove Bucky Barnes' robotic arm. The scene was so brutal. What? You ask where Animo Zora's consciousness storage device went? It was crushed into pieces by Steve Rogers at some point in time. Miserable, Arnim Zola, miserable. After completely defeating Bucky Barnes, Tony Stark easily connected to the central control systems of the 3 flying aircraft carriers through Jarvis. Through the back door that he habitually left in the underlying data, he completely took control of the 3 flying aircraft carriers and directly disabled the weapon systems. Nick Fury, who saw this scene, had tears in his eye. FK. These losers are just idiots. They are just rubbish. Alexander Pierce on the side tried to struggle and took out the controller from his pocket. Nick Fury, I advise you not to act rashly. Alexander Pierce raised the controller in his hand. Before entering the venue, all the members of the World Security Council pinned a special brooch on their chests. Now, as long as I press the button, the brooch will melt a large hole in their hearts that is transparent from front to back. Alexander Pierce's words immediately caused panic among the politicians present. Alexander Pierce. You're a lunatic. You Hydra only know how to carry out terrorist attacks, right? Nick Fury. Don't act rashly. You must save us. If we die here, you will be brought to the International Military Tribunal. Listening to the politicians' hysterical shouts, Nick Fury's expression was perfunctory. Even the expression on his face when the weapon system was scrapped just now was even more heartbreaking. Alexander Pierce, I once considered you a confidant and a close friend, but... Nick Fury raised his pistol indifferently. He is the king of agents at the America General Agency. We never compromise. They are from major countries. So what? Nick Fury frowned. Hydra attacked the America General Administration, and the members of the World Security Council fought desperately and refused to cooperate with Hydra. In the end, they died for their country. As the director of the America General Administration, I will report your achievements to the World Federation and build a tall monument for you outside the gate of the World Federation. Nick Fury finished speaking, and without even waiting for the politicians to react, he shot Alexander Pierce through the heart with a precise shot. Because of the gunshot, Pierce pressed the button on the controller as if his body reflexively. It was just one shot, but in the end a lot of people died. Nick Fury showed no emotion and even felt like laughing. In fact, with his marksmanship, he could easily shoot Alexander Pierce between the eyebrows and kill him instantly. But why did he do that? Politicians who seek fame and reputation should die. After taking another look at Alexander Pierce, who had completely lost his vital signs, Nick Fury took out an old-fashioned pager. Luckily, we have Li Chengfeng. Otherwise, I would have to call you back this time. Chapter 90. Hydra was completely defeated. The army that attacked head-on was almost completely wiped out by the 3 Asgard siblings. The Hydra members who went to the FBI Academy to prepare for an internal and external collaboration to take down the place were beaten like tops by the trainees and finally became teaching aids for the surprise test. And the worst attack is on the refrigerator. There wasn't even a bone left, as Hulk used rage blood fire to burn them all to ashes. You have to know that this time Hydra spent all its money to fight this battle. All the mass-produced Winter Soldiers accumulated over the years were killed, and the prototype was also captured when occupying the flying aircraft carrier. Not to mention the 2 Super Winter Soldiers. The Hydra leaders, led by Madame Hydra, racked their brains to figure out why there was such a powerful woman in the FBI. Beating Red Hulk is no different from beating your grandson. If they had known that such an unreasonable and powerful being existed, they, Hydra, could have been cowardly for another 100 or 80 years. As a result, due to the existence of the X-Men with telepathy ability, information leakage is almost zero, and Hydra is forced to choose to go all in despite the huge information gap. As a result, John Garrett was killed. Arnim Zora's consciousness storage device was stepped on and crushed. When his consciousness tried to transform into an electrical signal and escape into the network, it was blocked by Jarvis and imprisoned in a horror movie playback website, watching heavy-taste horror movies 24 hours a day. But Hydra's size is still here after all. Although the attacks on the most important strategic targets all ended in failure, not every location in the other branches has top agents and super ability personnel in charge. Therefore, many branches were still captured by Hydra. So after the personnel from the refrigerator, the FBI Academy, and the headquarters gathered together, they immediately began to compile statistics on the status of all branches in America. Of the 50 branches, 24 were occupied by Hydra. Hydra might be just a smaller organization to the current America headquarters, but it is still an overwhelming behemoth when facing the branches. So after a brief reunion, Nick Fury immediately assigned tasks to each department to retake the occupied branches. According to intelligence, many agents from various branches are still alive and some are even still fighting. In order to resolve the battle quickly this time, Nick Fury even sent out all the naughty kids from the FBI Academy. Definitely, each group was followed by at least 2 senior agents to take charge of command and aftermath. The aftermath is mainly used to calculate the weighted credits. Only with the instigation and threat of credits can we ensure that these naughty kids won't do anything evil. However, Li Chengfeng, Hela and Hulk were not assigned to the team to recover the major branches. Phil Coulson patted Li Chengfeng on the shoulder. I've told you before, we used cannons to kill mosquitoes because we only had cannons. Now that we have electric mosquito swatters, there's really no need to use cannons at a time like this. Besides, are you trying to steal credits from the kids at the FBI Academy? After saying that, he and Steve Rogers took Phil Coulson's team and divided them into 2 groups to go to different branches for support. Steve Rogers did not stay to look after his good brother, the Winter Soldier Bucky Barnes, but tied Bucky Barnes tightly with a rope made of polymer material specially used by the FBI. Even if he was tied up like this, there was no possibility of him breaking free. Then, along with General Ross, they were all thrown into the square cabin prison under the headquarters. A large-scale regular army attack on the capital of America naturally attracted the attention of the American government and the world. Nick Fury's phone never stopped ringing, but he never answered it. Later, I got really impatient and picked up the phone. Hello, I'm Nick Fury. The American military? Did you receive word that we found General Thaddeus Ross? I'm going to hand him over to you now. Are your brains all covered with fat? He's still in a brainwashed state. If I hand him over to you now, will he transform into that horrible red gamma monster and blow you and your ashes and the box away after he recovers? You don't have to be so harsh with me, Lieutenant General. The FBI is only responsible to the World Federation, not to the country where it is located. I am not the FBI, nor the CIA, and I am certainly not the Eye of Heaven or the Super Investigation Department. FKU. You can definitely talk to the President, but I will also make it clear to you that even the President of America has no right to interfere in the affairs of the FBI. Lieutenant General, Fury is glad that you could call him. But Fury doesn't like the tone of your voice just now. It's best if you have never violated any American law, because the FBI will conduct a very detailed investigation and collect evidence on your life. Nick Fury spoke a lot to the other end of the phone before hanging up the call. Then he raised his one eye and looked at Li Chengfeng. No, you guys are playing this here when I'm spitting at people. Nick Fury absolutely loves and hates Li Chengfeng. This guy's brain circuit is definitely abnormal. Which good guy grabbed a woman's hand in the leader's office and read her palm? Besides, this is an Asgard goddess. To put it more mysteriously, this is the goddess of death with divinity. To be scientific, this is a pan-humanoid alien from Asgard. No matter from which perspective, her palm reading cannot be applied to the ancient divination technique from the Republic, right? What else? I cheer for you. And then I pour you a glass of water to help you spray for another 800 rounds. Li Chengfeng curled his lips, somewhat dissatisfied with Nick Fury interrupting his intimate interaction with Hela. But it's not a good idea to pick up girls in front of your boss in his office. It was only Li Chengfeng. If it were anyone else, he would have been asked to leave the company by his leader long ago. Nick Fury had a gloomy face. When it came to talking, he had never beaten Li Chengfeng. Then Nick Fury turned his gaze to the fat green man who was sitting on the sofa and eating. Li Chengfeng, can you explain to me what this person is like? Alas, a crazy father, a mother who died young, a broken family, and a genius. FK. You made up words that rhyme at a time like this? Why aren't you so good at writing reports? Ahem, I'm not making this up, it's all real. Li Chengfeng spread out his hands. This was a perfect portrayal of the first half of Bruce Banner's life. Just at this moment, a strange agent pushed the door and walked in. Li Chengfeng, I did everything you asked me to do. Next, it's time to talk about my joining the FBI. After saying that, he transformed into a green bald alien in front of Nick Fury. Li Chengfeng slapped his forehead. No wonder he always felt like he had forgotten someone. As a result, Uncle John came to the door himself. Chapter 91. Nick Fury looked at the familiar agent, who just rubbed his eyes and turned into a green alien wearing a cloak. It's obvious that the other party is not a Skrull. Although he also possesses the ability of shape-shifting, he does not look like a Skrull. He does not have a chin with several grooves, and is very similar to a human. Nick Fury couldn't help but think of the great adventure 30 years ago. That was the first time he truly understood the existence of the so-called superhero, and it was also the first time he came into contact with extraterrestrial civilization. It was also the time when he started wearing an eye patch. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but glance at the yuan-devouring beast lying on its back in its nest and sleeping. Most importantly, this person didn't react at all when he saw the yuan-devouring beast. Either he didn't know what species the yuan-devouring beast was, or he was not afraid of such a creature at all. Regardless of whether this green alien is the former or the latter, it certainly has nothing to do with the Skrulls. Li Chengfeng, where did you get this creditor from? But what I'm curious about is this alien friend of mine, the big guy sitting there eating up half of the cafeteria's stock today, and your own green light transformation. Are you obsessed with green? Do you like this color so much? Li Chengfeng glanced at Nick Fury, who was making sarcastic remarks with resentment, and said, "You old BD, sooner or later, Kwai's Y will beat his fruit to pieces." Without paying any attention to Nick Fury, Li Chengfeng stood up and motioned to Uncle John, Martian Manhunter Ron Rongzi, to sit on the sofa on the other side with him. You have to know that Hulk's big butt makes a sofa that can seat 3 people look like a small stool. It looks so crowded. And Hela followed. It's just that she was curious about this creature she had never seen before. And Hela could also feel the surging power from the other party. Ron Rongzi, this time we were able to trick Hydra into sending out their entire family, all thanks to you for giving them the fake insight plan. I love this planet, just like I love Mars. This is my second home. I have no reason to watch the peace of my hometown being deliberately destroyed by someone with ulterior motives. From today on, you will officially join the FBI as a member of the STAR team. Li Chengfeng shamelessly praised Uncle Jiang and boasted about himself, and you are right, Rong and Rongzi, you have a heart of gold and the noblest character, just like me. Nick on the side shook his head vigorously, then scratched his ears with a look of disgust. It was as if something dirty had gotten into his ears. You? Li Chengfeng? A heart of gold and the noblest character? He may indeed be a good person, but he is just barely a good person. It's better not to get involved with noble people, okay? But Nick Fury endured it. Who made Li Chengfeng the #1 hero of the America Bureau? At the moment he is pulling a powerful alien into the FBI. Thinking of this, Nick Fury suddenly agreed deeply with what Phil Coulson said. Should we change secondment directly to transfer? Although he could still continue to work, he was old after all, and it was time to start looking for a new director. Li Chengfeng is the perfect option. There is no doubt about his ability, his basic character is guaranteed, and he is not a stubborn moralist. Li Chengfeng, Phil Coulson, and Maria Hill will probably be the best leadership team in the history of the America General Administration. Once Nick Fury had this idea, it began to take root and sprout wildly. Because he always had another plan. Establish a special agency to deal with extraterrestrial events to prevent threats from the universe. This department will serve as a shield, protecting the Earth from invasion by extraterrestrial civilizations. He has already thought of a name, let's call it SHIELD. Li Chengfeng called Ingrid and asked her to take Uncle John to complete the identity-related procedures and then officially join the FBI. Captain, Mr. Ron Rongzi is a Martian? Is that the Martian I know? Yes, it's the Mars that many countries in the world have launched Mars exploration vehicles to. No? Do you know of any other planet called Mars? Ahem, I'm just expressing my surprise. Ingrid waved her hands awkwardly, then looked at Ron Rongzi, but how can I register a legal identity with this appearance? Ron Rongzi did not feel uncomfortable when he heard Ingrid's cautious question. Instead, he shapeshifted into a tall white man in front of everyone. John Jones, 38 years old, living in Middleton. I've used this identity for decades. Is this still possible? Ingrid was obviously frightened by the transformation ability. After she came to her senses, she immediately nodded and said, "That's all right, Captain. Leave it to me from now on." After Ingrid finished speaking, she opened the door and walked out without even waiting for Uncle John. The kid is a little nervous. Haha, after all, I'm just an office agent. I don't have many opportunities to come into direct contact with aliens and people with super abilities. Li Chengfeng explained with a smile, and Uncle Jiang didn't care. He walked through the office door and followed him. Nick Fury is still immersed in the ability of Johnny's ability to walk through walls. Is this person you found an alien or a magician? Is there a difference? We have someone in our bureau who is both an alien and a magician. It's not like you haven't seen one before. At this moment, Loki, being dragged by Thor by the collar, is on his way to an FBI branch occupied by Hydra. Suddenly I sneezed. Loki, you have a cold. No, I finally understand. It must be Li Chengfeng, the profiteer, who is saying bad things about me behind my back. The magician's perception in this regard is very accurate. Anyway, Li Chengfeng is so far away from him, he can't possibly hear such bad words, right? Li Chengfeng, who did not have acute ears, sat in front of Nick Fury again. Look serious. Okay, the unimportant things have been dealt with, now it's time to deal with the most important things. Even Nick Fury was affected by his appearance, wondering if something big had happened again. The most important thing. Yes, the most important thing. Li Chengfeng nodded, then stretched out his hand and said confidently, "Old blind deng, give me some gold coins." FK, you only know how to get gold coins every day. Do you think I'm a quest NPC in the game? No, it's clearly a one-eyed elite monster guarding the treasure house and refusing to give way. Are you indirectly calling me a miser? I neither admit nor deny. If you think it is, then it is. Chapter 92. If you asked for gold coins from black salted eggs in the past, you might have said it in a joking tone. But this time, Li Chengfeng really wanted to make Nick Fury bleed. Not to mention that the Turigen crystal that he asked Bruce Wayne to buy cost a lot of money. Now, as the number of members of the Star Team increases, the large flat that was initially allocated to Li Chengfeng is no longer enough to accommodate him. Most importantly, now with Thor and Hulk, the destructive power of these two guys is extraordinary. Although the large flat is spacious, there are still neighbors upstairs and downstairs. The green fat guy really made a fuss, but no one could guarantee that they could control him without destroying the facilities in the house. Li Chengfeng felt that a residence at least of the same standard as Professor X's Xavier Manor would be enough for these two reckless men to cause trouble, right? As for living separately, Li Chengfeng never thought about it. They are not a loose superhero alliance, but a serious FBI team. To put it more generally, they are alternative soldiers who do not wear military uniforms, so it is reasonable for them to live together. Phil Coulson's team all live together in an Airbus, but that's based on the premise that there are no violent and reckless super ability people. Li Chengfeng expressed his concern about the residents seriously, and Nick Fury stopped complaining and started to think seriously. The FBI definitely owns a lot of real estate, most of which were seized after super criminals were arrested. The big manor really has. But it is located next to the Panama Canal. Nick Fury glanced out the window and suddenly slapped his big black head. That's right. We can move there. FK, where is that? Is it the one in Don't Lick That Dirty Place? Can you explain it clearly? You deserve to be kicked to death by a donkey for being so vague. You've been getting more and more irritable lately. In the past, you could still talk to me in circles. Nonsense, I've been working here for so long, who would still pretend to be innocent with you? You're a 1,000-year-old fox, why would I play Liao Zai with you? Ahem, let's get back to the topic. Nick Fury was a little embarrassed. Although Washington, D.C. is where the headquarters is located, there is a branch in Washington. After hearing this, Li Chengfeng basically understood it. Shouldn't you finish what you're saying? This is a branch that's basically in name only, right? That's right. Although the headquarters says that it only manages the branches, it does not directly handle specific incidents in each region. But over the years, the headquarters has actually assumed the responsibilities of the original Washington branch, so that the spare personnel can be sent to other branches. Nick Fury nodded and continued to say to Li Chengfeng, the Washington branch has been basically abandoned since about 10 years ago, but we have been sending people to clean and maintain the facilities regularly. A branch base has everything from living accommodation to training grounds, from offices to scientific research laboratories. It is basically a scaled-down version of the headquarters base. And most importantly, the branch can order takeout. Li Chengfeng was still considering it, but after hearing Nick Fury's last words, he made the decision without any hesitation. Right here. God have mercy. The FBI cafeteria was unpalatable. Who the hell can handle eating fat-reducing or muscle-building meals every day? Li Chengfeng would rather order takeout of so-called junk food. I didn't expect that this time the stingy old Nick Fury would really deliver. Wow, the drop rate is really high, Jackie Chan face, so the star team decided to move their base to the Washington branch, and Phil Coulson's team also moved there with them. It is not a long-term solution for Phil Coulson's team to live on the Airbus. They still need a fixed base. Li Chengfeng thought there was nothing wrong with it. He still likes Phil Coulson's team. In the entire FBI, apart from Nick Fury, Li Chengfeng probably has the closest relationship with Phil Coulson. That's because they faced the big guy from Kansas together. The gold coin. Have you some shame? You got an entire branch base for free, and you still have the nerve to ask for money. When Nick Fury sees Li Chengfeng's face now, he will think of how he and Tony Stark teamed up to destroy the weapon system on the flying aircraft carrier, and then he will think of the countless swords that were wasted. Give you money back? Nick Fury is very magnanimous for not stabbing you twice more. Li Chengfeng perfectly illustrates what it means when things are going well, I want to kiss him hard twice, and when things are going badly, I want to shoot him hard twice. The leader loves and hates him, but his position is as stable as an old dog. This is a technical job. Hulk finally came out of his state of eating at the desk. Not full. Yes, it was eaten up. Li. Hulk is still hungry. Hulk said as he sat up from the couch. After the force of lifting it up, the whole sofa finally couldn't bear the weight and went from being shaky to being completely scrapped. Hulk is almost turning this sofa into a mattress. It was so flat, and there was a huge amount of butt print on it. Nick Fury finally couldn't bear it anymore when he saw the leather sofa he spent a lot of money on was sacrificed by Hulk's green butt. Li Chengfeng. Hurry up and get the hell out of here with your big green bucket. For Li Chengfeng and his family, moving to a new home was not a difficult task. It's nothing more than opening the portal and making a few more trips. 2 days later, after all the occupied branches were liberated, Team Star fell into a long period of idleness. After all, 60% of the terrible things that happened in America were caused by Hydra or forces affiliated with Hydra. This time, the FBI directly destroyed Hydra's manpower. It would be basically impossible for Hydra to recover to its current state without 100 years. However, having nothing to do only refers to going out on missions every day and fighting with super criminals. Li Chengfeng has recently been conducting joint consultations with the FBI's telepathy ability personnel on Winter Soldier Bucky Barnes, Red Hulk and Air Force Lieutenant General Thaddeus Ross, and Bruce Banner. At this time, Li Chengfeng had a new understanding of Hydra's hypnotic ability technology on the Winter Soldier. These scumbags aren't completely useless. Those with telepathy ability can restore the memories of brainwashed people, but they are unable to eliminate Hydra's hypnotic ability on the Winter Soldier. Even if all their memories are erased, as long as the activation command of the hypnotic ability is read out, they will still transform into the most loyal Winter Soldier. A group of powerful people who could brainwash the entire planet suffered a Waterloo. Their faces looked as ugly as those of black guys seeing cotton and watermelon. What Li Chengfeng didn't expect was that the solution to this problem was. It's the FBI's #1 psychotherapist, self-proclaimed, Harley Quinn. How difficult is this? Isn't it just creating an abnormal personality through extreme behavior, and then activating the abnormal personality through muscle memory and certain behaviors or events that serve as keys? Harley Quinn blinked. It's not that this is unrelated to what Joker did to me. It's just that it's exactly the same. Chapter 93. Although Harley Quinn proposed this solution to the problem, when it comes to actual implementation, it still has to be done by those with super abilities. After all, Harley Quinn is just crazy, but she is not stupid. You have to know that 2 of these 3 brainwashed guys can turn into huge amounts of gamma monsters. Even if she swung the adamantium bat and produced sparks, it wouldn't cause much actual harm to the 2 brothers. As for the Winter Soldier Bucky Barnes, he can break through his defense, but it would be a problem even if he was really killed. So Harley Quinn waved her hand without taking anything with her. I have to go to the FBI Academy today to attend work. The biggest problem with this school full of people with super abilities is that it is prone to various psychological problems. For example, Jessica Jones is a frequent visitor to the counseling room. Pudding, open a portal. I'm going to the FBI Academy. Harley Quinn leaned on Li Chengfeng. Alas, This peaceful and boring life is really crazy. Baoer, I think your definition of madness seems a bit off the mark. Li Chengfeng opened the portal to the psychological counseling room of the FBI Academy and greeted Jessica Jones on the other side of the portal. Hey, long time no see, you. Cha-tang. Who are you calling to smoke and drink hot water? Don't I have a name? UBD teacher. To be precise, Pudding is now a former whole teacher. Harley Quinn jumped down and walked into the portal. She turned around and blew a colorful kiss to Li Chengfeng. Bye, Pudding, see you tonight. As the portal closed, Jessica Jones also began to complain. Teacher Harley, why are you interested in this BD teacher Li Chengfeng, even though he is indeed very strong? Does a madman need a reason to like someone? Harley Quinn sat on her sofa. If you must have a reason. That means Li Chengfeng is crazier than me. As a senior psychiatrist and psychologist, this is what makes Li Chengfeng attractive to Harley Quinn. Sometimes, this kind of madness that appears to be sober is the most attractive to her. Okay, where were we last talking about? Let me see. In a family of 4, your parents and brother all died in a car accident, so you feel disgusted and hate yourself for surviving. Thank you so much for exposing my scars again. You're welcome. At least you still have some happy childhood memories, right? Harley Quinn shrugged. I've never met my dead dad. The last person who could be called a father was Nick Fury. Jessica Jones wiped the sweat off her face. This mentally ill older sister revealed between the lines that she is the most connected person in the FBI. Can her psychological counseling really continue normally? Li Chengfeng wiped the sweat off his forehead. Although the group of telepathy ability users were so worried that they were about to develop stress-induced alopecia areata, after getting a solution from another professional perspective, the matter immediately got on the right track. And it is on the high-speed rail track. It only took 5.5 hours from start to finish. 5 of those hours were spent coaxing the Hulk to relinquish control and release Bruce Banner. Everyone, who are you? Bruce Banner, who had lifted the Hydra brainwashing hypnotic ability, finally woke up slowly on the test bench. When he opened his eyes, he saw a circle of heads surrounding him. It's hard to imagine that half an hour ago, this was a brainwashed person who kept saying Hydra hail and cut off 1 head and 2 will grow back. Are you awake? The operation was successful. From today on, you are a girl. Ah. FKU. Quentin. I finally cured you, what if you get scared and develop another disease? White Queen swore rarely, and then slapped the young man with short pink hair who said the previous sentence. Quentin Kyle, Omega Boy, Omega level telepathy ability user, one of the graduates of Xavier Ability School. Guys? Pay attention to me? What happened? Bruce Banner was still in a daze and didn't even hear clearly the strange words that Omega Boy said. His memory still remains on his travels through the major countries of the world in search of a cure for the gamma virus that existed within his personality, Hulk. The last part of his memory was when he had just returned to America and the fragile ship disintegrated near the coast. As he swam, he lost consciousness. When I woke up again, it was the same scene. Li Chengfeng looked at the messy scene in front of him, decisively picked up Bruce Banner and took him out of the laboratory. Then he opened the portal and returned to the original Washington branch base, now the Special Team Base. Winter Soldier Bucky Barnes and Red Hulk Thaddeus Ross had already completed their treatment when Li Chengfeng was persuading Hulk. The former was taken away by Steve Rogers and went to the America General Administration to solve various historical problems and then asked Tony Stark to repair his metal arm. Whoever dismantles it is responsible for putting it back. That makes sense. As for the identity issue, there is no need to worry about it. Bucky Barnes is originally a veteran figure recorded in the American General Bureau, and his identity is endorsed by the first director Peggy Carter. The latter was taken over by the American military, and all subsequent reviews and investigations were handed over to the American military. He is an Air Force Lieutenant General, and one with real power. It would not be appropriate for the FBI to keep him under control. What kind of technology is this? Can it actually directly cross space? Bruce Banner is worthy of being a scientist with 7 doctoral degrees. The first thing he thinks of at this time is still science. This is not technology, but magic, teleportation magic. Li Chengfeng followed Bruce Banner through the portal and waved his hand to close it. Please take a seat, Dr. Banner. Oh, okay. Bruce Banner sat on a sofa and looked around curiously. Then I saw the FBI logo hanging on the wall of the lounge. Is this an FBI facility? What has Hulk done? That's right, but how do you know that Hulk has a problem? If you often have inexplicable memory loss and then wake up naked in a strange cave, you will think so too. Then can you tell me, when is your latest memory? I remember this very clearly. I remember that I had just watched the weird opening ceremony of the Olympic Games in Japan the day before. Upon hearing this, Li Chengfeng patted Bruce Banner on the shoulder. Welcome to 4 years later, Dr. Banner. Chapter 94. What? 4 years. Bruce Banner sat up from the sofa after hearing what Li Chengfeng said. So, in these 4 years, I have always been the Hulk. As he spoke, Bruce Banner began to feel his whole body, as if checking if there was anything missing from his body. Damn it, when did I get a red ring on my hand? I have no memory of this thing. Hey! Dr. Banner, you need to calm down. How can I stay calm? Bruce Banner suddenly roared, a hint of green flashed across his face and blood vessels, and the red light ring on his hand also flashed. 4 years. I lost my memory for 4 years. And in these 4 years, I have been in the form of Hulk. God knows how much trouble Hulk has caused in such a long time. Looking at Bruce Banner's performance, Li Chengfeng did not give any direct advice. Even in Bruce Banner's human form, the Hulk's endless rage still affects Bruce Banner. When Bruce Banner gradually calmed down and sat back on the sofa to apologize to Li Chengfeng slowly said, maybe the Hulk in the past has left a great negative impact on your life and even your entire life, but I have to tell you that it was the Hulk who protected you in these 4 years. During the process of eliminating Hydra, Li Chengfeng relied on Uncle John to transform into Sitwell and obtained a lot of Hydra intelligence in reverse. Among them is Hydra's detailed record of the Super Winter Soldier. At that time, the reason why the ship Bruce Banner was on disintegrated was the work of Hydra. At first, Hydra only had its eyes on Bruce Banner, a genius scientist, and wanted to recruit him into its own camp. Even Hydra couldn't connect this genius scientist with the Green Gamma monster. After the operation began, the drowned and unconscious Bruce Banner was successfully brought back to Hydra's secret base. When he wakes up, he will be brainwashed and given hypnotic ability. Definitely, this memory has been washed away by the telepathy ability expert group. There is no need to let this scientist who has suffered from gamma transformation in another personality endure it again. And just when the brainwashing hypnotic ability was about to succeed, Hulk appeared. Only then did Hydra realize that he had found a treasure. I thought I had picked up a gem, but it turned out to be not only a gem but also an antique heirloom. Made a fortune. They definitely didn't expect that their brainwashing and hypnotic ability had no effect on Hulk, and were even less effective than a few full meals. What? Protect? Protect me from what? Li Chengfeng was too lazy to explain and simply put the Hydra information directly in his hands. The answers you want are in these materials. Bruce Banner couldn't wait to open the folder and began to look through the information. The more he looked, the worse his face became. After all, he has always regarded Hulk as the biggest obstacle in his life, but now he is told that this is not a mutation, but his own personality. This personality that has always been causing trouble has also been protecting his life and safety for the past 4 years, and has also been protecting him from having to participate in the anti-human research and experiments of Hydra scientists. Even though Hulk is essentially a 3 or 4-year-old child, he can roughly understand that Bruce Banner should not be exposed to scientific research that he subconsciously rejects. Bruce Banner's hands as a scientist are not dirty, all thanks to Hulk. I think I need some quiet time. I think so too. Li Chengfeng stood up. You're in Hulk's room is the one closest to the training ground. Hey? What do you mean by my in Hulk's room? Isn't this an FBI facility? Yes, Hulk is now a reserve agent of the FBI. Are you kidding me, Mr. Agent? Why am I teasing you? I was the one who captured and recruited Hulk myself. Li Chengfeng said, extending his hand. By the way, I've told you so much, but I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Li Chengfeng, and I'm the leader of the Star Team. Bruce Banner, I am pleased to inform you that you are now one of us. It is very troublesome to fool Hulk. Although his IQ and EQ are not high, this kid is stubborn. But it is not that difficult to fool a highly intelligent person like Bruce Banner. A genius who has always been affected by Hulk's problems and yet has obtained 7 doctoral degrees must have spent all his time on study and experiments, and would have no time or energy to deal with people. As we all know, geniuses have always had low emotional intelligence. This is true for Bruce Banner, Tony Stark, and even Bruce Wayne. After sending away Bruce Banner, who was completely lost in thought, Li Chengfeng came to the outside of the base building. Looking at Thor, who was angry and chasing Loki on the training ground, Li Chengfeng couldn't help but sigh. What a peaceful day. When Loki said this, he was caught by Thor and then beaten up. Truly tragic. But Li Chengfeng was sure that it was definitely Loki who provoked the big stupid guy Thor. In the past few days, he has also figured out Thor's temper. He is upright but also a little naive. Although he doesn't say it, he actually cares very much about his brother Loki. Loki must be a BD to have provoked such a person to beat him up. It is not the first time that he has done this. He has been doing this since he was young. Otherwise, he should not be the god of trickery but the god of wisdom. Hey, Agent Li, has the matter with the big green guy been resolved? Li Chengfeng turned around and saw Barry Allen, who had just walked out of the laboratory. Although he doesn't get involved in the battle, he is definitely one of the busiest people in Phil Coulson's team. After completing the task, he needs to detect traces and archive evidence. Every value must be accurately recorded. After all, most of the things we come into contact with are dangerous things like 084 items. Barry Allen, how have you been lately? When Li Chengfeng saw this handsome but slow young man, he almost blurted out, have you been struck by lightning recently? But he really couldn't help with the speed force's awakening. After all, it required the right time, right place, and right people. In addition to lightning, there were also chemical reagents of unknown composition. It all depends on this kid's luck. Before that, it was good for him to spend every day in the laboratory. It's been pretty good lately, except that after Gemma and Fitz went to the sandbox base to help, I had some questions about biology and energy radiation that I couldn't ask them directly. It was too troublesome to look up the information myself. Li Chengfeng pointed at Bruce Banner in the lounge and said, go find him. He's a god with 7 doctoral degrees. He can definitely help you. 7 doctors? What the hell? Isn't this Dr. Bruce Banner? Barry Allen instantly seemed to be possessed and rushed over in a hurry. Hey! Barry! Have you seen Sky recently? She hasn't appeared at the base for 2 days. She hasn't been out of the house recently. She's probably doing some hacking stuff in her room. Barry Allen's voice came from afar, and Li Chengfeng was stunned. Haven't left your room in the past 2 days? It looks like the Genbo girl is about to be born. The next moment, a strong vibration was released from Sky's room. Li Chengfeng was shocked. Shit! Don't destroy the base. These are all sword music. Chapter 95. Sky was very sure that she had always had a good impression of this guy Li Chengfeng. But now she wanted to stab this man twice more than ever before. Is it really that difficult to tell her clearly about the effects of this crystal? He had to tell her secretly and let her smash the crystal when she was alone. He also said that he would thank him. Thanks a shit. She turned into a human-shaped charcoal sculpture for a whole day. Do you know how difficult it is to be conscious but unable to move and sense for 24 hours? Sky sat on the floor, breathing heavily, and looked at the room that was completely disrupted by the vibration she had just emitted. Damn it! If you don't know, you would think this place has just been bombed. Hey! Sky! Are you okay? The door was kicked open from the outside, and the man Sky wanted to stab the most appeared in front of him. Li Chengfeng! You still have the nerve to appear in front of me? Is it so hard to make things clear? Damn it! Riddler, get out of the FBI. Ahem, you don't know this. You are not a riddle teller, so how can you know the joy of a riddle teller? Li Chengfeng coughed awkwardly a few times, then helped Sky, who was slumped on the floor, up. But thank God, Sky, you managed to get out of that stone shell, and it looks like you've gained an incredible ability. Speaking of this ability, Li Chengfeng, what on earth did you do to me? Do you know how desperate I was when I was petrified? Damn it! Sky, this is where you're wrong. As a supervisor, I told you when I was training you that as an FBI agent, you shouldn't be afraid no matter what strange things happen. You weren't paying attention when I was teaching you. FK your grandma. If you were petrified for no apparent reason and all your senses were completely disabled, would you be scared? I am definitely afraid, but I will never say it out loud. Li Chengfeng joked. Through the vibration just now, Li Chengfeng already knew that Sky's inhuman bloodline had completely awakened. Genbo Girl is definitely the sealing combat force of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the original work. And he is Nick Fury's only true confidant. An 18-year-old SHIELD level 10 agent is no joke. No one would find it strange if he joined the Avengers right away. In fact, she is also recognized by fans as a member of the Avengers' first reserve team. Both ability and popularity are quite good. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the SHIELD agent with Genbo Girl as the protagonist. The series ran for 7 full seasons and finally came to an end, which is definitely quite successful in the American TV drama industry where most series are either cancelled or on the way to being cancelled. It also indirectly reflects the popularity of the character. Until now, there are still voices at home and abroad calling for Genbo Girl to join the MCU. Li Chengfeng naturally knew that the girl in front of him would be the perfect candidate to replace Phil Coulson or Maria Hill in the future, but now she seemed very angry. If I hadn't been able to control this power properly, I would really like to give you a hard beating. So, I should thank you for not killing me, right? Li Chengfeng smiled and helped her walk out the door. Her room is temporarily uninhabitable. The ceiling was shaking so much that it was falling apart, but it was still okay. And people who felt this vibration also rushed over from all directions of the base. Sky has always been very popular. Li Chengfeng handed the task of supporting Sky to Wanda, who was the first to arrive, and then picked up his personal terminal that was ringing non-stop. It's a video call from Nick Fury. Hello, dear director. Today's weather is really nice. Do you have anything to talk to me about? If not, I'll hang up first. I'm busy at home. Stop talking nonsense. Nick Fury twitched his lips, and then asked, we just detected a 4.0 magnitude earthquake in Washington, and the epicenter was at your base, did you do something again? Stereotype. This is pure stereotype. Every time something unusual like this happens, you will think of me. Over time, even if I didn't do it, you will subconsciously think it was me. This is wrong. You don't want everyone to think of a black brined egg with an eye patch the first moment they see you, right? Did you do this? Yes. Are you related to Tony Stark? Please do something human, I beg you. Beg me? Then go cook me 2 dishes first. I'm giving you face. Nick Fury's already dark face turned even darker. Come to the headquarters. I have something to tell you. Li Chengfeng turned around and saw that Sky, who was doing well in both teams, was no longer in danger. He opened a portal and came to the black and white egg office of Nick Fury and Professor X. Looking at Professor X, who was sitting behind the same desk with Nick Fury, Li Chengfeng greeted him. Hey, are you two here today? So what happened to the earthquake just now? Professor X asked curiously, could it be that a mutant with the vibration ability awakened in your base? But there are no mutants in your base except Wanda and Pietro. It's Sky. Li Chengfeng sat down on the chair and explained to the black and white eggs, but she is not a mutant, but an alien. Stranger. The black and white eggs looked at each other and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. If mutants' previous disappearance was intentional, then the alien is really unknown. It is understandable, after all, the Inhumans basically need the help of Turigen Crystal to awaken, unlike mutants who will awaken genetically at an unknown time. Yes, Inhumans. This group looks similar to mutants, but they are actually a fighting race transformed by the Kree people who came to Earth in ancient times. Li Chengfeng gave an example that the two were more familiar with. One of the first Inhumans was called Hive. Hydra is an ancient organization formed because of worshipping and following him. Over the years, Hydra members led by Gideon Malik have been working hard to welcome back their master. With just one sentence, Li Chengfeng completely exposed Hydra's true colors. Nick Fury nodded. In this case, Hydra still has a last chance of survival waiting for them to destroy it. Li Chengfeng looked at the double egg combination who was lost in thought and asked, okay, I've finished talking about my side, it's your turn. Didn't you say you had something to ask me? Nick Fury glanced at Li Chengfeng with his one eye and asked calmly, do you still remember that you drove away my car? I remember, I parked in the Stark Industries parking lot, and I even put 2 wheel locks on your car. Lost. What's missing? The car is lost. Ah. Li Chengfeng was stunned for a moment, slapped his thigh, and stood up suddenly. Shit, I lost my lock. Chapter 96. Suburbs of Boston. Li Chengfeng ultimately couldn't escape the fate of having to find a car for the black braised egg. Hey Lu Dan is such a stingy guy. Li Chengfeng complained about his boss while searching everywhere, if I weren't a man of high moral character, I would never come to find a car for you. God knows why the anti-theft coefficient of Nick Fury's director's car is so low. It was clearly a vehicle equipped with a highly intelligent AI system, and its exterior was so tough that it could be considered an armored vehicle with sufficient firepower, but it was stolen by an unknown thief. And the funniest thing is that even the locator installed on the car failed after entering this forest in Boston. It should have been a matter of getting the exact coordinates, opening a portal and being done with it. Now I can only come to this forest in person to find a car. I'm confused. Such a high-tech car is only explosion-proof but not theft-proof. Do you really think that people wouldn't dare to steal from you, the FBI director? The most important thing is that I lost the lock. I paid a $50 deposit for that thing. But as a real man who never has double standards, since the car was lost by him, he must find it back. At the same time, I kept repeating to myself, Black Braised Egg must not make any mistakes. If he really catches me, I will eat him for the rest of my life. In a blink of an eye, Li Chengfeng had searched most of the forest, but there was no sign of the car. This is FG weird. I clearly saw the tire tracks from Nick Fury's special tires. How come I haven't found it yet? Li Chengfeng sighed. Damn it. We should just bring that kid Barry Allen here. Although he is not the Flash yet, he is one of the best forensic specialists. It will definitely be much easier for him to analyze the details than to search here blindly. Since the kid was having a great conversation with Bruce Banner, Li Chengfeng didn't feel comfortable interrupting the kid's meeting with his idol. Forget it, just take it as a breath of fresh air. Li Chengfeng changed his mood and continued to move towards the places he had not yet visited with the intention of sightseeing. But that's how magical it is. When I try hard to look for something, I just can't find it. When you stop looking for it, it will inexplicably appear from some corner after a while. Nick Fury's Chevrolet, known as the toughest in film history, soon appeared in Li Chengfeng's sight. Aside from the car door being wide open, there didn't seem to be anything unusual. Li Chengfeng was just about to go forward to check, when he heard the system's voice that he hadn't heard in a long time. Ding! The mission Welcome to Fairy Tale Town has been released. Mission Introduction. Dear Captain of the Star Team, in order to retrieve Nick Fury's beloved car, you came to the fairytale town outside Boston alone, but discovered the secret here. The townspeople here are all fairytale characters who have traveled through dimensions. They live in this town that cannot be left with all kinds of incredible relationships. As a rare outsider, you will stir up an unknown storm in the town. Is the so-called reality another kind of illusion? Li Chengfeng walked towards the car while listening to the system's task introduction. But after taking the next step, he instantly felt a distinct sense of confusion. A sense of confusion that comes from the distortion of time, space, and reality. Even with Li Chengfeng's current strong physique and the protection of the red and green lantern beasts, he was still tricked. Before he fell, Li Chengfeng saw the town sign on the road not far away. Welcome to Fairy Tale Town. 700 kilometers away in Washington, Hela is enjoying the smokeless virtual war on the internet. As the commander of the Asgard army, Odin's executioner, and Asgard's goddess of death, she is extremely interested in any form of war. But in the next moment he suddenly raised his head and his brows suddenly frowned. Reality seems to have changed quietly, which is completely imperceptible to ordinary people. But to the divine goddess of death, this wave of modification and distortion of reality was as obvious as throwing a husky into a mirror-like pool. She clearly felt that part of the reality in her memory had been modified or distorted. Who is that person? He actually possesses the power of alter reality. And they dared to affect the Crown Prince of Asgard, the honorable goddess of death. Wait, could it be that thing? The direction she subconsciously looked in was the direction of Boston. He meowed a ring-shaped cat. When Li Chengfeng opened his eyes again, it was already evening. After quickly climbing up from the grass in the forest, Li Chengfeng retreated without saying a word. But unfortunately, an invisible barrier blocked his way. I can't see it, I can't touch it, but I just can't take a step out of here. Even the red and green double lights have been tried. Still doesn't work. As if it's the rule of this space. Borders that can be entered but not exited. Li Chengfeng frowned slightly. I'm afraid I'm in trouble. Thinking of this, he immediately took out his cell phone. There is a signal, but the line is busy when I call any number. He took out the FBI's personal terminal again. Well, I can't even turn it on. Apart from the fact that the material is hard and it hurts a lot when you hit it, it has no other function. Bad news, the once powerful FBI personal terminal can now only be used as a brick. The good news is that Li Chengfeng also knows a thing or two about the 36 brick headshot technique. All in all, just lift up the front face and you're done. Oh my god, which god have I run into again? How come there's even a fairytale town? Although he already knew how much American TV series had been incorporated into this world, it would definitely not be the same as those so-called original works. And the system even issued a task. Previously, he destroyed Hydra because of a text message, and the system didn't even issue a task. Li Chengfeng walked to the town sign and looked along the road. He could see lights flickering in the distance. It seems that the population is not very small. Well, now I'm here. Li Chengfeng sighed and comforted himself in this way. Back in Nick Fury's Chevrolet, he tried to start the car but it wouldn't start. The oil is not exhausted. But it can't start. The director's car, which had been modified with various FBI black technologies, now seemed to have become a useless iron shell like his personal terminal. Li Chengfeng got out of the car and slammed the door shut. Come on, carry the car away. Just as I was about to bend down, I suddenly heard a noise behind me. In a flash, Li Chengfeng turned around and launched a counterattack. A man wearing a black hood was pressed directly onto the grass by Li Chengfeng. Who are you? Why did you attack me? Seeing that the other party didn't say anything, Li Chengfeng didn't say anything more and reached out to pull off the other party's hood. Oh no! A handsome and domineering face, eyes with fan-shaped patterns, and an ascetic temperament. What the hell, Bruce Wayne? Why are you here? Bats still go on business trips, right? Chapter 97. Li Chengfeng. Bruce Wayne's eyes gradually widened, and the fan-shaped pattern in the domineering president's eyes had turned into 139% shock. Is this the right reaction to seeing someone you know? Li Chengfeng actually has a pretty good relationship with Bruce Wayne, but he just spends more time with Tony Stark. Besides, with Bruce Wayne's personality, he is actually not used to this kind of close friendship. What's wrong? Don't you recognize me? So I won't give you the money I asked you to buy the Turigen crystal. You actually still have a normal consciousness? You haven't been assimilated by this space. Upon hearing this, Li Chengfeng let go of Bruce Wayne in front of him. Assimilation? What do you mean? Ahem. Your power is much greater than the last time I saw you, isn't it? Bruce Wayne coughed several times in succession. I discovered that as long as you step into this space named Fairy Tale Town, you will be assimilated by the rules that belong to this space. Seeing that Li Chengfeng did not interrupt, Bruce Wayne continued, enterers will be randomly assigned the identity of a fairy tale character. The background setting is that because of the magic of the evil villains, everyone has traveled from the fairy tale world to this modern town. And this space can only be entered, not exited. After listening to Bruce Wayne's narration, Li Chengfeng nodded silently. This has some similarities with the fairy tale town in American TV series, but the core is absolutely different. The power that is enough to distort reality is definitely not something that those stepmothers who find it difficult to kill someone can control. Then why haven't the two of us been assimilated? God knows. Li Chengfeng looked at Bruce Wayne. The similarities between the two of them, besides being both extremely handsome and suave, is that Li Chengfeng had previously acquired the same willpower as Batman. Shui is definitely not able to resist the forces that distort reality. But as we all know, Batman's willpower is a pure bug in a sense. No matter what difficulties there are, they can hardly be shaken. It is estimated that the reality distortion failed to correct this bug, and in the end it was left unresolved. I have already tried to break through the border violently, but it didn't work. Li Chengfeng pointed his thumb behind him. Bruce Wayne looked and saw nothing. Normally, a portal should appear here immediately, but as you can see, my teleportation magic is ineffective in this space. It seems that we either spend the rest of our lives here, or... Bruce Wayne looked at the town in the distance. We have to find the source of the distortion of reality. Whether it is a person or an object, we must solve it. How do you manage to be so confident? Will lack of confidence help me get out of trouble right away? Li Chengfeng shrugged and said, okay, can't I just beat you in the argument? Then he put his hands on the back of the cart again and started pushing the cart. The car, which originally weighed just over 3 tons but was modified to nearly 5 tons, was easily pushed onto the road. Bruce Wayne followed behind Li Chengfeng, and had no intention of coming up to help. Instead, he asked Li Chengfeng, is this car yours? Although I can drive, I don't even have a driver's license. Li Chengfeng pushed the car as easily as if he was pushing a suitcase. This is Nick Fury's car for the director, it's full of black technology. Nick Fury's car. Bruce Wayne nodded thoughtfully, then muttered to himself in a low voice, no wonder she's interested. Interested in what? Li Chengfeng heard Bruce Wayne's mumbling and immediately grasped the details. She? Which she? A woman is interested in a valuable car. Shit, you are not chasing after Catwoman, are you? Ahem, you're so rude. What do you mean by that woman? That's Selina Kyle, my fiancée. Bruce Wayne was a little dissatisfied. What if you even called her Catwoman? In my eyes, the only women are my little crazy girl, my little aunt, and Lord God King. All other strange women are that bch. Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes at this man who looked like a playboy but was actually reserved. So why did this famous anti-hero and bandit set his sights on Nick Fury's car? According to the information I received, an anonymous seller asked her to steal the car parked in the Stark Industries parking lot and drive it to a designated location. The deposit alone was $8 million. Master Duo. Li Chengfeng turned his head suddenly, his eyes bloodshot, and asked with gritted teeth, steal a car and get $8 million for it? Or is it just a deposit? Li Chengfeng had to admit that he felt a little jealous. However, in theory, with Li Chengfeng's abilities, he can make money even legally. But laziness still took over Li Chengfeng's body during his free time. Is 8 million a lot? Bruce Wayne pointed at the glass of the car. If I'm not mistaken, the prototype of this bulletproof glass is produced by Wayne Industries, but it is several times stronger than the prototype. It can even withstand the impact of military door breakers for a short period of time. If it can be used for research, it will bring billions of profits. Bruce Wayne spread his hands, and this is just the bulletproof glass. The other parts are also high-tech. To put it bluntly, this is a mobile treasure trove of high-tech. Li Chengfeng once again looked at this most powerful Chevrolet in film history with a scrutinizing gaze, and suddenly felt that Nick Fury seemed to be really kind to him. It's such an expensive thing, and if you are told to drive it away, just drive it away. He almost changed his mind about this black salted egg. Definitely just almost. Li Chengfeng is still Wu Zetian in the period of passionate love, she has not lost Li Ji. The reason why he was so willing to lend it to him was essentially because he was strong enough and he thought nothing would happen to the car, right? It took Li Chengfeng more than 20 minutes to push the car from the outermost entrance of the town all the way to the town. The main thing is that he and Bruce Wayne have been constantly collecting all possible useful information through their senses along the way, and by the way, they have memorized most of the terrain in their minds. The two people did all this tacitly. Although this was the first time they really traveled together, they understood each other so well that it was as if they had been partners for many years. The forest is very pristine, but no unusual creatures were found. What? Bruce Wayne, the great Batman, wouldn't you be afraid of the beast in the dark? Li Chengfeng said jokingly. The two men had now arrived at the main road of the town. The pedestrians on the roadside looked at Li Chengfeng, who was pushing the cart with his bare hands, with expressions as if they had seen a ghost. To be honest, am I a little too conspicuous? As soon as Li Chengfeng finished speaking, a tall woman in a brown county police uniform walked over from a distance. I am Selina Kyle, the deputy sheriff of Storybrooke. How did you end up in this town, stranger? Li Chengfeng stopped pushing the cart, then pushed Bruce Wayne forward. I said I'm sending a man to you, do you believe it? Chapter 98. Stranger, please don't speak out against the public officials of Storybrooke. I will warn you 3 times. If you still don't stop, I will temporarily put you in the detention room for 1 night. Yet. Li Chengfeng nodded hurriedly in agreement, but his tone was quite perfunctory. Bruce Wayne, who was pushed forward by Li Chengfeng, extended his hand very gentlemanly and shook hands with the deputy sheriff Selina Kyle in front of him. My brother has a rather strange temper. I sincerely hope to be forgiven by you, ma'am. Bruce Wayne's originally stern face showed a gentle and domineering smile that was just right. Our car broke down on the road, so we had to push it to town to see if it can be repaired. Then your brother is really strong enough to push a broken down car by himself. Selina Kyle's eyes when looking at Li Chengfeng instantly changed from suspected bad and idle social member to a silly kid who speaks without thinking and has great strength. Damn, I suddenly feel that this couple is so annoying. But as the best FBI agent, his acting skills? No big deal. Humph, brother, I'm a little hungry, hurry up and transfer 10 or 8 billion to me. Don't go too far. Bruce Wayne maintained a perfect smile while squeezing out a very small threat from his throat. I asked you to act, not to deliberately blackmail me. It's just a joke. Li Chengfeng chuckled. My advice is to drive less. Please park your car here first. Selina Kyle pointed to the parking space in front of the tavern. There is a hotel in this town. It's at the northernmost part of the town. A dwarf who was less than 1 meter tall passed by the tavern. When he heard Selina say this, he immediately spoke loudly, Selina. Agatha's hotel was renovated 2 days ago and it's not finished yet. Ah? Really? Then what should we do? Selina Kyle, who had just warned Li Chengfeng, looked at the two of them apologetically. If the only hotel has been renovated, then you too. Bruce Wayne was a little dazed as he looked at the completely different Selina Kyle in front of him. Although his Selina is also gentle, it is definitely not this kind of gentleness. He is most accustomed to being considerate and thoughtful, hiding his sharp tongue. If Li Chengfeng heard Bruce Wayne's thoughts, he would definitely scold him. How shameless! It seems that after dressing up as a bat for so long, his mind has become a little perverted. What is the M attribute explosion? It's okay, we can make do in the car for the night. It's too crowded for 2 grown men to sleep in one car. Selina tilted her head and thought for a moment. How about this, my parents' room is still empty, you can stay here for 1 night. Don Quixote from the car repair shop was just carried back by his wife. He is drunk and won't wake up until at least tomorrow afternoon. Isn't this bad? Bruce Wayne started from 0 frame, grabbed Li Chengfeng's clothes and pulled him over. But he was still speaking polite words of hesitation. Li Chengfeng looked at the butt chin that was about to spread out with contempt. I'm so anxious if I'm not married. I wish I could stick it on someone else so that I can't tear it off. Li Chengfeng and Bruce Wayne followed Selina all the way to her home. The two exchanged glances and nodded. Unexpectedly, this reality distortion was quite perfect. Selina Kyle, who had entered Storybrooke not long before them, actually had such a house. My parents' room is on the 1st floor. There are some disposable toiletries under the sink. Selina Kyle introduced with an apologetic smile, the conditions in our remote town are average. People like you from big cities may not be used to it. It doesn't matter. My hometown is even worse. It even feels like living in a cave. Bruce Wayne shook hands with the other party again with gratitude. I envy you very much for having such a warm and home-like house. You can't talk unless you shake hands with others, right? Disgusting. Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes implicitly. Besides, don't you live in a bat cave? What does even mean? Then it must be a big cave, and hanging upside down on the ceiling every day must have increased your IQ, right? Really? I am ignorant. Selina Kyle's eyes were filled with regret and longing. People in our town never leave the border. Almost everyone has never left this town in their entire lives. So the only way I knew about the outside world was through the books in the town library. Believe me, it's not that good out there. But every night, I would have the urge to leave Fairy Tale Town and go outside to take a look, but the next day, I still had to get up and patrol. Selina smiled, waved at the two of them, and went upstairs. Bruce Wayne kept staring at Selina Kyle's back and didn't take his gaze away for a long time. Hey, your eyeballs are stuck on someone. Has anyone ever told you that you're annoying? Yes, yes. I think Nick Fury wants to pull out his gun and shoot me for 5 minutes every day. Li Chengfeng shrugged and sat on the old but very clean big bed. Did you hear what that woman just said? Almost everyone, it's almost . I'm not deaf, I have a brain, I definitely heard it. Bruce Wayne added, and I told you, you might as well call her Catwoman. Tisk, I'm just afraid that your brain is full of love. Li Chengfeng looked at Bruce Wayne jokingly. Even if you are as rational as a bat, you will always find a harbor where you can vent and place all your emotions. And Selina Kyle seemed to be his destined soulmate. That's better than a scumbag like you. FK, one of the 2 most famous playboys in America said I'm a scumbag? Do you feel guilty when you say this? Li Chengfeng patted the other side of the bed. Come on, Mr. Bruce, lie down and talk. Bruce Wayne felt a lot more relieved when he saw Li Chengfeng's mean look. You know, encounters and incidents are his biggest weaknesses. Although with his ability, he can usually gradually collect all the information while dealing with the situation and set up a winning strategy. But every time, it's more or less like walking on a tightrope. He has always been accustomed to being alone and never works with others. But Li Chengfeng's presence made him feel. Having a teammate who is a bit talkative but reliable doesn't seem to be a bad thing. In a two-story old house in Fairy Tale Town, Batman Bruce Wayne couldn't help but feel a desire rising in his heart. A desire to no longer walk alone in the dark. He longed to fight side by side. Longing for a belongs to the Bat family. Chapter 99. Li Chengfeng and Bruce Wayne slept in the same big bed all night. There was no anxiety or tossing and turning. Both experienced fighters knew the importance of conserving their energy. After waking up the next day, the two walked out of the room and saw Selina Kyle, who was clumsily making breakfast. Li Chengfeng watched with interest for a while, then turned to Bruce Wayne and whispered, "Hey, if she tries harder, can she light up this stove directly? Stop making sarcastic remarks." Bruce Wayne said as he rolled up his sleeves and walked forward to take the spatula from behind Selina Kyle. "Let me do it." "Oh, my God, thank you so much." Selina Kyle looked at Bruce Wayne as if he was a savior. "I have never been good at anything related to food preparation since I was a child." Li Chengfeng sat down at the dining table without any hesitation and started talking to Selina Kyle. "Miss Selina, are your parents still alive? I feel a little embarrassed to temporarily use their bedroom. My parents have been dead for many years. I'm sorry." "It's okay. It happened a long time ago." Selina Kyle also sat down. "Although I miss them very much and have been cleaning this room, I think they must be happy to help two people who need a place to stay temporarily." Li Chengfeng nodded. All aspects of life experience are completed. It is definitely hard to say whether the Robin Hood in the fairy tale has parents. But whether it is a reality warper or some item that rewrites reality that is effective here, it is time limited. Modifications to reality are constantly updated. For example, after chatting with Robin Han Selina Kyle for a few words, I looked back and saw a few more photos next to the fireplace which was empty just now. There are photos of parents and also photos of the family of three. Pretty fast hands. Judging from the photo, Selina Kyle's father is the most common image of Robin Hood, while her mother looks like the evil queen in Snow White. So the reality distortion in this place has been going on for a long time, and Selina Kyle, who has just been assimilated, is not set as a fairy tale character, but as the next generation of these fairy tale characters. Li Chengfeng became more certain of his guess. "Are you really always looking for compensation? Okay, just stop asking questions." Bruce Wayne placed the crispy bacon and bread slices on the table, interrupting Li Chengfeng's question. "Oh, your cooking skills are really good." Selina Kyle exclaimed at the simple food in front of her. "Let's eat. I have to go to work at the police station in town soon. You guys can just walk around town, but..." "But what?" "Well, it's nothing. There's just a mentally ill person in the town. He thinks the whole world is fake and often complains to people in the town. If you meet him, please don't hurt him. He's also a pitiful person." Selina Kyle sighed with pity and started eating breakfast. Upon hearing this, Li Chengfeng gave Bruce Wayne a look. "Think the whole world is fake? Madman? Maybe not. Maybe it's just a bug caused by distorting reality." Breakfast was quickly finished. Selina Kyle put on her police uniform jacket and went out with Li Chengfeng. It's just that the two of them did not travel with Selina Kyle, and they went in the opposite direction to the police station. "I hope you have fun in Fairy Tale Town." These were Selina Kyle's last words before she left. Li Chengfeng smiled and waved goodbye to Bruce Wayne, then turned around with a cold and calm expression. It seems that only the people who were initially pulled into this reality distortion space are fairy tale characters. For example, the dwarf yesterday was obviously one of the 7 little dwarfs. And your wife was assimilated into the second generation of fairy tale characters, and she also inherited the identity of her father Robin Han. Li Chengfeng analyzed, if the two of us were assimilated as well, we would probably have similar identities. And this person who distorted reality, seems to be trying his best to maintain the stability of this reality and make it more reasonable. Bruce Wayne nodded, and then he and Li Chengfeng began to wander around this fairy tale town. Although the people of Fairy Tale Town cannot leave the town, they do not feel strange about outsiders. It's as if they are a group of people who are normally connected to the outside world. Along the way, familiar fairy tale characters kept appearing. Snow White is a teacher, Princess Elsa is the owner of a cold drink shop, Princess P is a fruit and vegetable shop owner, and the 7 little dwarfs are security guards. And at the moment, he was staring at Li Chengfeng, Little Red Riding Hood. But unlike the little Lolita in imagination, the Little Red Riding Hood in front of him was obviously an adult woman. I haven't seen you guys yet. My brother and I were traveling by car when our car broke down. We were passing through Fairy Tale Town, so we had to come to town to fix the car. I see. Little Red Riding Hood nodded thoughtfully. You guys aren't bad people, are you? Li Chengfeng wiped away the non-existent sweat. This is not the way an adult speaks. But Li Chengfeng could feel that there was a very strong power under the red hat. Definitely, this strong is for ordinary people. For example, Bruce Wayne next to him, just looking at the panel data, would probably be pinned to the ground and rubbed at will by this Little Red Riding Hood. We heard that there is a mentally ill person in town who believes that the world is fake. Li Chengfeng nodded at Little Red Riding Hood. Isn't this a coincidence? My brother and I are both psychologists. We can help you see if you can get treatment. It's definitely better to have a local leading the way than 2 outsiders groping around blindly, right? Little Red Riding Hood looks like an adult, but she is obviously still a little girl inside. This kind of person is easier to fool. As expected, Little Red Riding Hood nodded and said happily, Really? Are you really a psychiatrist? That's great. That older brother is so pitiful. He's so handsome, but unfortunately his brain is not normal. Then Little Red Riding Hood walked in front to lead the way, taking Li Chengfeng and Bruce Wayne to the back of a laundry and to the edge of the forest. And a simple camp came into their sight. Li Chengfeng took a quick look and found that although the camp was very shabby, the builders had obviously learned wilderness survival skills. It looks like a camp built by someone from the American military. The knots are standard operations taught by the military. At this moment, a handsome brown-haired man with tattered clothes came out of the shack. Wow! He's out. He left first. Little Red Riding Hood was probably harassed by him a few times, so she just ran away. Li Chengfeng and Bruce Wayne walked forward. The moment the brown-haired handsome guy saw the two of them, his eyes lit up, but soon the light called hope dimmed. I actually saw Bruce Wayne here, I must be starting to hallucinate. When Li Chengfeng heard this, he didn't run away. This guy hasn't been assimilated either. You are not hallucinating. He is Bruce Wayne, and I am FBI agent Li Chengfeng. Do you need help? What? The real Bruce Wayne? And the FBI? Hearing Li Chengfeng's words, the man rushed towards the two of them. Then it hung on Bruce Wayne and started howling. Oh my god! My dear! Finally a normal person shows up. Li Chengfeng said as he pulled the man off Bruce Wayne, Hey, if you have something to say, just talk nicely. Why are you hugging and touching him? Damn, your snot rubbed against him. Li Chengfeng managed to pull the brown-haired man off Bruce Wayne without hurting him. Bruce Wayne didn't say anything. He just took off his coat expressionlessly and threw it aside. Li Chengfeng clearly saw from the fan-shaped chart in the other party's eyes that the proportion of the dislike option was gradually increasing. That's enough. Stop howling. He stretched out his hand and gave the brown-haired man a fierce fight. Who are you? Why are you here and haven't been assimilated yet? After the brown-haired man got hit hard, he was a little dazed at first, but he quickly calmed down. He scratched his brown hair that hadn't been washed for a long time, took a few deep breaths, and then said, My name is Hal Jordan, you can just call me Hal. Bruce Wayne showed no reaction when he heard the name. But beneath Li Chengfeng's equally calm facial expression, there was a shock as raging as a storm. Who? Hal Jordan? How did this guy appear in Fairy Tale Town? Why would an Air Force pilot appear here for no apparent reason? As for why he was not assimilated, Li Chengfeng didn't have to guess. As the greatest Green Lantern, his willpower is even greater than Batman's. Since Li Chengfeng and Bruce Wayne were not assimilated because of their strong willpower, Hal Jordan would naturally not be assimilated either. Well, Hal Jordan. Li Chengfeng nodded, then can you explain why you appeared in this town where reality was distorted? Reality distortion. Hal Jordan repeated the word he didn't quite understand in confusion, and then began to explain, I am a major flight officer in the American Air Force. Following the secret order from my superiors, I am transporting confidential items to the FBI headquarters in Washington. But after flying near here, the plane crashed without any damage or abnormalities. Although I parachuted in time, I was hit by the explosion of the crashed plane after landing and then I fainted. When I woke up again, I was in a place called Fairy Tale Town, and the people around me had all turned into fairy tale characters from another world. But I clearly remember that I fainted in a forest with basically no trace of humans. In other words, during the time I was unconscious, a town and its inhabitants appeared out of nowhere. Bruce Wayne listened to Hal Jordan's description and nodded. So, you crashed and parachuted first, and then this town appeared, right? Excluding the possibility that you are a person with the ability to distort reality, the appearance of Fairy Tale Town is probably related to the confidential items you are responsible for transporting. My grandfather, worthy of being called the greatest detective in the world, got straight to the heart of the matter. Something that could allow the American military to temporarily put aside historical conflicts and send it to the FBI. What on earth is this thing? Why did you send it to the FBI headquarters? Li Chengfeng asked, holding Hal Jordan's shoulder. Did you really not open it to take a look? I told you this is confidential. I'm just the one responsible for the transportation. Hal Jordan sighed helplessly. Alas, I've been missing for so long. What's going to happen to my girlfriend? She must be worried to death. You don't have to worry about that. Li Chengfeng pressed his hand on his shoulder and squeezed it slightly, saying comfortably, people who enter the reality distortion zone will most likely be completely erased from reality temporarily. Don't be afraid of making your girlfriend worry. You should be afraid that she will change her mind because you don't exist at all. FK. The goddess of death Hela came to the headquarters alone. She is now certain that she has been affected by reality distortion, but she has no idea how she has been affected. What was taken away from your life was an object or a person. With the blessing of divinity, she could only vaguely remember that he was an extremely important existence in her life. Wandering aimlessly around the FBI. The agents around here have long been accustomed to it. Hey, isn't it God? The FBI still has 2 more. Not surprising. As for the energy detectors installed inside the FBI, their prompting methods had long been modified, and they would no longer be as dazzling as the computer screen that was hit by the White Thunder. Hela eventually came to the research department. I heard that the people working here are some of the smartest people in Midgard. Although Hela thinks she is wise enough, even the wisest king needs the advice of wise counselors. Because they had just experienced the battle to capture Hydra, many facilities were still under inspection and reconstruction. Nick Fury simply gave all the researchers a holiday. Anyway, it is impossible to conduct research in this environment. But there are always exceptions. There is a scientist in the FBI who does not have such high requirements for the scientific research environment and is not very interested in taking holidays. He is the only one in the entire scientific research department. Hela walked forward, and the other person just turned around. The ruby pendant on her chest is still as shiny as new. I remember you. Are you the Dr. Liang? Oh, isn't this the lady goddess of death? Liang didn't seem surprised by her arrival. It seems that the lady goddess of death has sensed it. Although she is essentially an alien, she possesses divinity after all, and is somewhat resistant to the distortion of reality. You can feel it too. Ever since my soul entered this thing, reality distortion can no longer affect me. I have become one of the constants of the universe. Dr. Liang touched SCP-963 on his chest and said jokingly, my goddess, you forgot the person who is most important to you. He is the one who sits at your right hand. He is the one who will share the throne of Asgard with you in the future. He is your queen of gods, your lover, the guide of the stars, Li Chengfeng. Chapter 100. As the saying goes, there is strength in numbers. Hal Jordan was trapped alone in Storybrooke until he was discovered by Li Chengfeng and Bruce Wayne. As the only normal person who has not been assimilated, in a small town with distorted reality. If it weren't for the strange border that he couldn't leave no matter what he did, he would have almost thought that he was really crazy. After shaving and washing his face, he put on a sweatshirt that Li Chengfeng bought from a clothing store in town, and he was still the handsome boy from the seaside city. Li Chengfeng looked at the tag removed from the sweatshirt. It says produced by Princess Aurora on it. Then there is a line of small words below. I swear, I won't feel like sleeping if I wear my clothes. Well, Sleeping Beauty is a good match for my major. After all, she was a princess who had to be cursed on the spindle. What kind of innate weaving body was that? Then I thought of the princesses I saw all over the streets before, Each one of them was full of energy and enthusiastic about their work. Even Selina Kyle, a notorious criminal, became a small-town police officer whose only thought was about work. At least in this distorted reality, these princesses are like cattle and horses, and all they do is work. Li Chengfeng wanted to complain. Let's talk about love with the princes. Office workers want to see something sweet, not realistic. Let's go. Where shall we go first? Hal Jordan held his head high and chest out, no longer looking gloomy as he had been hanging on Bruce Wayne and howling. If Thor is a silly golden retriever, Hal Jordan is a husky who becomes rampant when he is in power. How long have you been in this town? Didn't you think of gathering some intelligence? Brother, as a former test pilot, I experienced a plane crash that was completely beyond my professional knowledge, and then was pulled into a reality-distorting dimension. These 2 consecutive experiences were a shock to my worldview. Hal Jordan felt wronged. Although I've been here for a week, how could I have the extra intelligence to think of this? Besides, I'm just a flight officer, not an FBI agent. I know everything about flying a plane, but I'm completely clueless about collecting intelligence. Seeing Hal Jordan's helpless look, Bruce Wayne also expressed his deep agreement. Professional matching is very important. If an amateur messes around or gives blind instructions, something will definitely go wrong. Where are we going then? Li Chengfeng actually has 2 options in his mind. First up is the town library. According to Selina Kyle, the town library has books that record the situation in the outside world. If nothing unexpected happens, this is where the most information is concentrated. Most likely, reality benders materialize the information into books. If you go here, you can find some clues. Another option is Agatha's Hotel, which was mentioned last night. The name Agatha is not very common. But if he was in some normal place, he wouldn't feel strange hearing this name. But in a space shrouded in reality distortion, there is a person named Agatha. He had never heard of a fairy tale protagonist named Agatha. So the innkeeper is most likely Agatha Harkness, the old governess with a rather amusing personality. As one of the oldest and most powerful witches on Earth, her greatest strength lies not in her mastery of all kinds of magic, but in her ability to teach apprentices. There was Franklin Richards in the front and Scarlet Witch in the back. The peak abilities of the 2 disciples are more exaggerated than each other. Definitely in this universe, Wanda has just started to master the origin magic power. Let alone fully awakening in a short period of time, she is still far from reaching the level of Sub-Godfather, which is the level where she almost tore apart the normal Thanos in the movie. Not to mention the other one, Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman are still in the honeymoon period. As we all know, Americans are not in a hurry to have children. But after weighing the pros and cons, Li Chengfeng decided to go to the library first. Anyway, given Agatha's fun-loving nature, she's probably waiting for Li Chengfeng and the others to come, so just let this old witch whose exact age is unknown wait. Selina Kyle mentioned that they all learned about the outside world through the library. In this reality-distorted space, no location is useless. Li Chengfeng was the first to walk forward. The library is a place that is mostly a point of intersection for information connection with the outside world. Because only the information here exists in 2 realities at the same time. In fact, these words were a bit too stream of consciousness, and Li Chengfeng was basically speaking to Bruce Wayne. Although it's abstract, Bruce Wayne should be able to understand the general meaning. But Hal Jordan. Thank God the husky doesn't run around. As Li Chengfeng was thinking this, Hal Jordan's questioning voice came from behind him. Although I don't want to question you. Hal Jordan pointed in the opposite direction of Li Chengfeng somewhat awkwardly, but the library you mentioned is over there. If this happened to an ordinary person, he would probably feel a little ashamed, and those with thin skin would probably blush. But who is Li Chengfeng? Do you have the nerve to resist the night sky sword? Ling Xiao, Hal Jordan, don't go too far, are you very proud? Although I know you are trying to cover up the embarrassment by changing the subject, I somehow feel that the source of your words just now is not very healthy. Ah, you're really a genius. Li Chengfeng's expression changed very quickly. I like to cooperate with intellectuals. Lead the way. On the 7th day of being stranded in the reality distortion space, Hal Jordan truly learned what shameless meant in real life. But what can he do? It's so hard to meet normal people, so we definitely have to stick together. He doesn't want to become a psychopath in a distorted world. Come on, follow me. So the guide group, led by Hal Jordan, took Li Chengfeng and the bats back to the streets of Fairy Tale Town. This time, the three of them traveled together and finally caused a stir in Fairy Tale Town. But the good kind. Little Red Riding Hood, who had just been scared away, was the first to come over. She first looked at Hal Jordan's handsome, clean-cut face, and her own cheeks turned a little red. Wow, Big Brother actually looks normal. It turns out you didn't lie to me, you really are a doctor. Although Little Red Riding Hood behaves shyly and moves small, she has a very loud voice. After hearing Little Red Riding Hood's words, the fairy tale characters around her all gathered around her enthusiastically. Bruce Wayne's Batman habit made him instantly assume a fighting stance, but he immediately put it away. Because of the glorious plumber, Alice in Wonderland wiped her hands on her blue overalls and adjusted her red hat. Then she held Bruce Wayne's hands with hers. It was like meeting a celebrity. What's your name? Wayne. Dr. Way, you are a miracle worker. Even among psychiatrists or psychologists, there are not many in this industry who can treat people with mental illnesses just like normal people. Hey, doctor, please help me. I always feel that I should be taller. Brother, you are a little dwarf. Your height is considered a little giant in your own species. I think people should not be divided by race. I consider myself to be an ordinary human being who is shorter in stature. Luckily it was an ordinary human. I thought it was an attack helicopter. My ears were instantly filled with the nonsense of fairy tale characters. Li Chengfeng got a headache just listening to this. America's political correctness is really awesome, even reality distortion can't beat them. Oh my god! It's so true, do you have such a distortion of reality? After finally breaking free from the crowd, Li Chengfeng wiped off the sweat. These fairy tale characters are quite down to earth. Those who know understand that this is a fairy tale town. If you don't know, you would think we have arrived at the international metropolis of Teeling. But after escaping from the warm hospitality of the folks, the three finally arrived outside the library. This is a library. Li Chengfeng pointed at the building in front of him and turned to ask Hal Jordan. That should be, right? There are only two intersecting roads in this town, and the town library is located at the intersection. But no matter how you look at it, it looks like some evil villain's dark castle. The building in front of you with a sign that reads Fairy Tale Town Library is a castle with dark brick walls and a tall clock tower. Forget about the evil queen or the wicked witch. Even if you show up as the great devil Piccolo, Li Chengfeng won't find it strange. Reality benders. Stop taking a shower and do something practical. Two different styles of painting appear in the same reality, are you trying to ruin the American fairy tale? Li Chengfeng, although I know the answer, I still need to confirm it again. Bruce Wayne took a deep breath and asked, we have to go to this library, right? Of course not. Li Chengfeng gritted his teeth and kicked open the 6 or 7 meter high castle gate of the Fairy Tale Town Library. I'm already here. Hal Jordan stared at the scene in front of him in amazement. No, buddy. Is this FBI agent still human? A city gate weighing several tons was kicked open with just one kick? Is this man in front of him part of the distortion of reality? Where did you come from, monster? Although I am from Earth, my physical strength is the real Asgard flag. Li Chengfeng talked nonsense with Hal Jordan while he and Bruce Wayne covered each other as they sneaked in. Hal Jordan gritted his teeth and followed in. In order to leave this distorted reality, in order to make Carol remember him and remove the green grassland that might fall on him. He tried his best. But he rushed in with his head down, and bumped into Li Chengfeng's back. FK. You guys just took one step inside, why did you stop? Li Chengfeng's mouth twitched and he pointed forward. Open your big husky eyes and take a look. How can you keep moving forward with this thing? Hal Jordan looked in the direction Li Chengfeng pointed. A huge red dinosaur was lying in the middle of the hall. There was a curious look in those ferocious eyes. I'm screwed. Hal Jordan was stunned. Is this a dinosaur? Real dinosaurs? Li Chengfeng ignored Hal Jordan, whose worldview had been overturned and rebuilt again, but he knew the origin of the dinosaur in front of him. He is quite famous among the monsters in the Marvel Universe. Demonic dinosaur. It is a highly intelligent Tyrannosaurus Rex from the wild land, and also serves as Moon Girl's nanny and mount. Devil dinosaur, why are you here? Do you know what happened here? Li Chengfeng frowned. The monster appeared. He didn't take the demon dinosaur seriously. However, the demon dinosaur is deeply bound to the moon girl, and the moon girl's inhuman ability is to establish a deep spiritual connection with the demon dinosaur. A true soulmate. After hearing Li Chengfeng's voice, the demon dinosaur stopped lying down and slowly stood up. Compared with the dinosaurs that are more than 7 meters tall, humans look pitifully small. Hal Jordan felt like he was about to break his neck by bending backwards, and he didn't even see the face of the demon dinosaur in mid-air. The dinosaur opened its mouth, and then... Ouch, no, I asked you to stay here just to be cute? Whose demon dinosaur is the cute dragon roar? Li Chengfeng had just finished complaining when he slapped his forehead. Damn, the devil dinosaur can't talk either. He can communicate with the moon girl, but that's because of her inhuman ability. But Li Chengfeng still has a way to solve this small problem. The Green Lantern ring lit up at this moment, and in an instant Li Chengfeng entered the Green Lantern transformation state. Hal pointed at Li Chengfeng and then looked at Bruce Wayne. Hey. Do you think you're the only one who doesn't understand? Bruce Wayne smiled with relief. I've long been accustomed to this. The number of abilities possessed by this Republic man is exaggerated. If one day he chooses to abandon his morals and bottom line for something, how can we defeat him? Defeat him? Bruce Wayne shook his head and spread his hands. As things stand now, let's just pray that his morals are high enough and his bottom line is strong enough. Li Chengfeng did not deliberately listen to the conversation between Bruce Wayne and Hal Jordan, but after his physical fitness had been enhanced so many times, his hearing had already reached a rather exaggerated level. Although Bruce Wayne and Hal Jordan had just been nagging him from behind, Li Chengfeng knew. If he were an ordinary person, seeing the greatest Green Lantern and Batman from afar, the same question would surely pop up in his mind. These are just minor details. Li Chengfeng raised his right hand, and the Green Lantern ring lit up with a dazzling and soft green light of wool. In addition to being a weapon of the Green Lantern Corps, the Green Lantern ring is also a personal terminal of the level universe. Can translate into almost any language. After being baptized by the green light of wool, the demon dinosaur roared again. As Li Chengfeng got goosebumps all over his body, the sound of a wool was transformed into hyuxia and heard by his ears. Brother! Where are you from? If you're from outside Storybrooke, get out of here. I won't allow you to ruin my friend's fairy tale dream. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you're notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.